4:30, let's open July 31st meeting of the Watts County Council. We'll start out with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start the meeting here with minutes of June 19th. Give us sent out to us. Any additions or changes to those minutes? Seeing or hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Get the motion approved.
Ryan has made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So they were approved. Okay, so first on the agenda here tonight, the Regional Sewer District, and Mary Alston is here to speak with us. How are you, Mary?
Pretty good, how are you guys doing? Nice and cool today, comparatively.
Compared to what we've had.
Well, I haven't been in front of all you guys in a while. I'm sending updates to everybody as we get them. I wanted to just really come by and answer any questions and give you a general update. We are working on the 60% design stage for the Hayesville portion. SRF had come back to us and asked us to, I think last time we talked, I told you, asked us to break the project up into 3 different phases that would likely be over 5 different fiscal funding cycles. So making the first phase the smallest, which is really just Hayesville itself. And then if Holland does move forward, that would be the second phase. Mainly the reason that Holland would be moved to second instead of Portersville is for the financial gain that you get by having so many additional users. And that makes it a little bit more sustainable for additional staff and things as you grow. So we slid that ahead of the Portersville, and Portersville would be considered the third phase of that. We have gotten comments back from SRF since I last spoke to you. And most of them were very general. Things that we just needed to reassert that you all are aware of, like the, Build America, Buy America, the BABA Act, and that qualifies here, and that we'll follow that you all will have to have a land acquisition by the time you close on your loan, typical standard requirements that we just had to reiterate, yes, we're aware of. And we're moving forward in that manner. The few things that they did ask about that were outside of those just typical clarifications, they asked us to pull a few things that we had in the study and add them to the PER. We originally, since we submitted both the study the year before and then the PER, we didn't duplicate alternatives or discussion. So we pulled some of those significant sections out, added them to the PER. They have also asked us to, one of those that in particular was to add the alternative into the PER that was in the study regarding a package plant for Hayesville. Or I say package plant because it will be small. If we were to go that route, we would do something likely firmer infrastructure than a package plant. Package plants are kind of like a treatment plant on a trailer. They don't generally have a very long life cycle. So we do something more as a concrete infrastructure, but in the scale of a package plant. If that would be necessary for whatever reason if we weren't able to get things worked out with Jasper. So we did elaborate on that and do some more work on that alternative for them. Jasper was ranked, I believe, 11th on the PPL, on the project priority list with SRF. So that puts them outside of the fundable range for this cycle. But it does allow them to be considered for the pool. The pool projects are still low interest loan money like the primary ones. They can have a slightly higher interest rate, but still extremely low compared to the market. So with the way rates have been increasing, I honestly am not sure exactly what SRF is using right now, but for the last number of years before these last couple of years, for 10 years before that, it generally hovered around 2%. If you are in the fundable, and if you're in the pool, you're looking at like 2.25. So it's not a significant difference in the low interest loan money. The difference with the pool range is there's not grant attached to that. Jasper's project is the way that even though they would be considered one project in the sense that they need each other, the loans and the documents and making the financial decision on grant and what the interest rate is and all of that, Jasper's project, those decisions are made solely on the city of Jasper's financials. So while the county could qualify for grant, doesn't mean that Jasper's portion of the project would qualify for grant money. So that's some of the kind of general feedback we've gotten. Jasper does have a meeting directly with SRF themselves on August 15th. We had planned to schedule a meeting actually last week to kind of get back together with them again. But now that they've got that meeting scheduled on the 15th, they requested obviously until after that meeting. So I'm waiting to hear back from Renee for a date for that meeting for us to kind of sit down and put our heads together on what their plan is moving forward. In our last in-person meeting with Jasper, there was conversation about, we mentioned going back to the lift station option, which was the original concept that was proposed, is that they just put a lift station on the north side of town to take the flow from Hayesville and take it to their existing treatment plant. The mayor's definitely not fond of that idea. He does not want to run any new force mains through downtown. So I don't know where they'll end up on that, but that's basically where we are right now, is waiting to hear what Jasper's plans are moving forward. What we are currently doing, so that you all don't lose any time on our schedule, is we're working on the gravity design in Hayesville, because all the gravity feeds to 231. And then it's just a matter of whether we take it north or we take it south. So we are still working, got 5 different design teams working on your all's project right now. But that's how we're handling it, is we're taking the bits and pieces that we know for sure, so we don't have to review anything. And we'll wait to see what Jasper decides. But like I said, we don't want to go with the county having to do their own treatment in any area. But it is an option, and we do have that analysis if it's needed as a backup.
Did the discharge get approved in Mill Creek?
They don't have formal approval that I'm aware of. My understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding from Derek was that they had gotten some verbal confirmations as to what the restrictions may be, but I don't believe they had actually gotten anything formal. Do you know for sure?
I just gonna look.
Okay.
Or because that seems like the only option, and if that doesn't work, the Mill Creek discharge. Right, as far as the city, I mean, that's our only option if we can't run it to the current structure. As far as the city's.
Correct.
this
If
is all we
Jasper
got.
does not want to take it to their existing plant and they can't get a discharge permit for a new plant, then the option would be
That's
a
what you were
small
talking
treatment, right? And the reason why again, getting discharge permits, IDEM does not like to issue. They're trying to reduce the number of discharge points. But where for the Hayesville portion, we would actually be able to be up against the White River. So we would take it to that north side right there. And that allows for a much better dilution as far as what our restrictions would be than Mill Creek.
Then have we already sort of looked at the land that we would acquire, or how would that work?
No. We have not, we've pinpointed a general geographic location, but that alternative is still very much conceptual. So we have not looked at actual properties. We are right now in the process of identifying properties for where the lift stations will likely be. Whether they're going north or south, they're pretty much still gonna be about the same place.
I don't know what the lift station looks like. Is it all underground? Or is it actually, will it be above ground? What is a lift station?
So it depends. If it's, lift stations are gonna always be in the low point because we're pumping up. Gravity flow down and then we pump up. So they're always at the low point. If we're in the floodplain, then the wet well, the concrete basin itself, and the electronics have to be elevated above the floodplain. And so in that situation, you generally, and depending on what we're talking, how high we need to go, you're looking at, you'll have a concrete structure coming out about 5 feet, 6 feet from the ground, and you'll have a metal staircase and platform for the electrical to sit on. But it is pretty unobtrusive, you don't want it in your front yard if it's your home. But for the most part, most of them are completely underground other than an electrical panel. So, and depending on where they are, like I said, we're kind of identifying that right now. Sometimes we put like a little doghouse shed over it just to kind of dress it up a little bit over the electric panel, so it looks more like a shed as opposed to just seeing the electrical panel out there. Even if we don't do that, it'll be fenced, obviously, for security purposes. But most people don't seem to mind them. The big fear usually is smell. Is what they're concerned about, is the odor. But we have all sorts of different ways that we take care of that. And, it's low flow as you all will have here. I don't expect that you'd have any odor issues anyway.
The gravity feed, is that similar to what they have done in the past, like in St. Anthony, Celestine? Is that the same thing, where everybody has a grinder in their front yard?
Those are what we call low pressure systems.
Okay.
Gravity feed is what you traditionally see. You got manhole pipes underground and literally gravity just.
So it is straight to the house and out. They don't
Yes.
have a pump grinder
Correct.
or whatever in the front yard.
So our goal from the beginning, I know that there are a couple of low pressure systems in the county that homeowners have not been ecstatic about in my 25 years. I haven't met a homeowner who is ecstatic about them. They are a last resort, so it has been, we've looked at it as a last resort. We're trying to do everything we can to have everything coming off the homes at gravity, even if that means we have to do a couple of small lift stations, as opposed to doing those. And the main reason is that, in that sense, that the home, and here's kind of the catch, because SRF does require us to evaluate that alternative, so that is in one of the options. Because it's generally way cheaper on construction, I mean, a fraction. But the homeowner is responsible for those pumps, the maintenance and replacement of them, and taking Hayesville residents from a septic system to a monthly bill to having to buy, own, and maintain a pump is a stretch. You know, that's a lot to ask in that job. So we definitely are trying to avoid that at all costs. It's not to say there may not be one or two or three that end up that way, but that is last resort.
So the timing on this, it seems like we've got time. It's going to be, you're in the design phase. I guess as a council, my concern is, just so we don't spend money on design, that if the city of Jasper cannot provide us a place to put in front, then I think we don't want to spend a lot of money, in design. We're not going to get any benefit out of it. But, that's what I'm asking you, I think as a council member, not to spend money on design it could possibly be duplicated. We should be able to find out if Jasper's going to go with us and accept this and the timing of that. And the other thing is the package plan. Do you think you ought to put some thought into that? If we have to have that package plan up, or structure some kind of ballpark estimate on what that's going to be, so we can make a decision on that part of it.
We have developed the kind of pre-design ballpark, and forgive me, but I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. I can send that out to you all. We, like I said, it's part of the PER revision. We did go back in and do a preliminary financial analysis for that, and I can send that out to everybody.
And it's not important at this point because Jasper, after the 15th, they may have a decision made that they may want to proceed with it. So that's great.
I'm still very hopeful from the conversations I've had with SRF that this is a priority project to them.
Okay.
And that they know it needs to get done. Otherwise, Hayesville's going to end up being a ghost town again. But it's just SRF and the process. It can take a number of years sometimes, and as you've seen with the schedule, and depending on what funds they get in and what other projects, and they can move us around, and we just don't know till the last minute exactly what the final deal is, and it's frustrating. But like I said, that our goal, as it has been from the very beginning, is to spend as little of the county's money as possible, and meet the requirements until you actually know. And so, that's kind of where we are right now. Is, like I said, we're in the 60% design phase, working towards that deadline, but we are only working on elements that we know won't change regardless of what the treatment option is, so that we're not duplicating cost and time.
Well, I appreciate taking time out. Nick, I know you put a lot of work into commissioners and a lot of other people on that. I want to mention it, but a lot of people have put a lot of work in this, and I appreciate that. That we're at this point. So I think that I think that's, I think we got a feel of what's going on. We just have to see what Jasper comes up with.
Don't
After
myself,
that.
we'll definitely update you after the meeting we have, when they talk to SRF as well.
Okay.
We just keep plugging along.
Well, thank you for coming in this evening.
My pleasure. Like I said, feel free, email me, call me, if something comes up, if you have any questions. I'm always available.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sandy, is Jackie?
Jackie's not gonna come, but I can present it for her.
If you would.
Every year, the Recorder's Perpetuation Fund, she gives us an affidavit saying that there is money there to cover her expenses and these are in excess. And then we do an ordinance saying that we've accepted her affidavit, which I can pass that around and show you. And then that there's excess money in her fund that we can budget. So this would be ordinance 2023-12.
You know, in talking with the recorder there, you know, she helped us, you know, when we were looking at these chairs and this kind of thing, and she did, out of this fund or out of her excess fund, she did pay for her own carpet. And, you know, that didn't come out of the general fund or anything, so she paid for that office. And that was a $6,980 expense. And she also paid for the security, you know, we were looking at the security doors, and she paid for that out of that fund, which was $3,975. So that helped us with the funding that we had. You know, that helped us with the buying some other stuff for the courthouse and doing some of the things to the courthouse. So just wanted to, you know, I think she uses it and she's, you know, what she's expressed to me, I think she's on top of this and she wants to help the county and utilize these funds properly. So I don't know, like questions. I think we've done this in the past. It's nothing
There's the
different.
affidavit. So I think the fund takes in excess of, it takes in approximately $80,000 a year. She's provided her expenses in that fund. They are maintained and taken care of. So this is, I think our costs are around $10,000 a year. So there's the excess. So
And she's bought a printer.
she buys a lot of her own equipment and stuff out of that fund.
So it's helped the county in a lot of ways, I think, because the big printer can print plats and that kind of thing, which we'd have to go someplace else to get those printed and we have to. So I mean, I guess we need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Doug has made a motion, and I guess he's made a motion to accept this ordinance number 2023-12. So any other discussion? We got a first and a second. Okay, so all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? We'll move on then. And we're just a few minutes ahead of time, but if you're ready, we are ready.
Okay, that sounds good.
So Ed Cole has come in and he's going to Du Strong. And
You know, you can't have me talk to you without me giving the paper. It's just part of my thing, so if I show that, you go, where's the paper? You have some things that pass out. Just give you a little background on what I'm gonna talk about, and I will be brief. And I know usually when people say they're going to be brief, that means they're gonna talk a long time, but I promise I really am going to be brief. Just quickly, what you're seeing in front of you, that's just a really mashup on that first page of our budget to give you an idea of the breakdown. It's not as detailed as our entire budget. We try to give you kind of a snapshot as an hors d'oeuvre rather than a 7-course meal. Next page is the relocation program where we had worked with, and I'll talk about that more in a few minutes, with Radius Indiana and a group, professional group called Make My Move. So I'll talk more about that. And then the last little bit here, just kind of projects, initiatives, and what we always look at is, we look at this as the last 6 months of 1 year and then the first 6 months of the following year. So that's why we do the 2022, 23 stuff, and we try to look at it from obviously July through December and then January through where we are currently. So that's why we do it. And some people, what's the 2-year thing? So anyway, and then the last one is Grow Du Bois County. That is a running total of the projects that we have used money from, and that has that separate board, the project board. So it just gives you a running total of where we are and the funds at the current balance, I'm sorry. So, let me shift gears here. Our main focus is how do we attract people to live, work, and play here. We know that one of our issues, it's a good issue to have, but it's a bad issue if you're trying to hire. We have more jobs than people. So we're always looking, how do we get more people here and how can we affect that? And so much of what we do is focused on workforce and workforce alone, or workforce related types of things. For example, I'll just share with you just a few of the things, as I said, just kind of a snapshot. We put together a 30-member Du Bois County Child Care Task Force. And for about the last year, we've looked at that very deeply. And what I find out every day is the more I know, the more I realize I don't know enough about childcare and the different levels and the different people that are affected by it. It's across the board, which you can probably imagine. We did, through a 7-county group, we did a white paper study. A lot of people say, well, oh my gosh, they did another study. What we were trying to do is figure out the depth and the breadth of the problem. We could use about 2,300 childcare seats, and that's how they're counted today. So there's 2,300 people out there who could potentially get childcare who don't have it. We know that affects workforce. We know it affects workforce directly. So that's the reason why we dug into that so deeply. I could tell you a lot more, but in the interest of time, just like to move on to the relocation that you have, that spreadsheet. We worked with Radius Indiana, as I said, a professional group called Make My Move, and we felt like we made a dent in bringing new people here. It shows the breakdown of some of the percentages. Brought 65 new people to Du Bois County. We didn't use any tax dollars. We were very proud of not using any tax dollars. Radius Indiana has dollars that they contributed. We also had a good partnership with Community Foundation. So those were the key players in that with us last year. It ended last October because frankly we ran out of money. Now we are redoing it. We're doing it again this year. And once again, we're not putting any money in it, but Radius knows that we're pretty good at doing this and that Jasper is probably one of the best draws of all the multi-counties that are involved. So they have stepped up and we're doing a employer-focused one. And we're also doing another relocation or remote worker one. And there's a third part of this, which will focus on how do we get more CDL drivers. So I'm going to leave that because it gets really much more complicated after that. One of the good things, and I know you may or not notice, but some of the family members have taken jobs locally, which we were pretty excited about. So we brought the 24 people and they have family members who took jobs. So moving on here, in the interest of time again, For the 6th time, this coming October, we'll partner with 4 county school corporations in what we call Tour of Opportunity. That's Patoka Valley, CTE, BUJ, and the Forest County Schools. We have about 550 to 570 freshmen, students. This is kind of part 2. The 4 county schools partner on for the 8th graders in what's called a career cruise. And that is where the employers come to them. Where this is where they go out to the employers. So we try to get them 2 opportunities to see 2 employers within their chosen career path. And what that means is, are you interested in being a doctor, or are you interested in potentially doing trades? What is it you're interested in? We try to get you out and exposed to those companies that do those types of things. And it's mostly a half-day thing, but it does spill a little over in the afternoon. We fill them full of pizza and then talk with them a little bit in the afternoon and send them back on the bus. But we really feel like that's been a very successful program on getting that focus on what it is you want to be when you grow up. In November, we're going to be doing the 8th annual Southwest Indiana Ag Summit. We're very proud of that. It's something that we started. I could tell you a lot about that. It is one of the things that we feel like makes a tremendous impact. We try to get the farmers involved as much as we can. We're going to do something a little different this year. We're going to focus on hardwoods because we've tried to do a little bit of everything. And we know that our county still is one of the major hardwood producers in the state. And we've got companies that everything from folks that are the foresters, the folks that are the tree fellers, all the way to the folks who do the dimensional lumber. So we've got a lot of people involved in that, and we want to put focus on that this year. That'll be in early November, probably November 7th. The workforce housing remains a big deal for us because we know from doing the relocation, if you're bringing people in, housing is always going to be an issue, the different levels of housing, rent all the way up to what some people might call luxury homes. We had pretty much everything in between in this relocation. We're very lucky here because we have more housing here than by far and away any of the other counties. Although we know we could always do more and we could always do better. There's seldom a time, Mayor and I talk about it a lot, if there is an apartment building built, it gets filled up. If another apartment building gets built, it gets filled up. We know if we build them, we'll fill them. So we're pretty excited about trying to get some updated numbers. Obviously, we want to get this out to the real estate people. We want to get it out to anyone who's involved. Obviously, the Du Bois County Builders Association, those types of folks. So we're pretty pumped about this. We should have this study done by the end of this month. Enterprise Loan Fund. One of the things that we do that's a little different than most other people. We partner with the chambers. We partner with the banks. The banks are hugely important to us on this. A very common situation for us is the bank says, okay, if somebody wants to borrow $50,000, they come in and they say, okay, the bank's not real comfortable with your debt to income ratio. How about bank loans you $25,000 and Du Bois Strong looks at the other 25. That's a very common bridge loan that we do. Now, I don't want to give the wrong impression. We don't do a lot of these. We usually do 2 or 3 a year. This year we've done 2, which is kind of unusual. So we've got another 6 months. So we might actually be able to do 2 or 3 more. So we're pretty excited about the possibilities. Just to put a cap on the Enterprise Loan Fund, we did something back in 2020. We did an emergency loan program where we did 13 loans, 12 for $5,000, 1 for $3,000. It was 3 years to repay and 1% interest. About the cheapest money you're ever going to find out there. But we've been very, very fortunate. Everyone has paid their loan back. We have completed that. The 3 years is up, and we're very pleased with that. So we got about $63,000 out to local small businesses that were hurting during the pandemic, so we're pretty confident. Approved 2 loans, I think I mentioned this already, 2 loans this year, one for $40,000 and one for $7,000. Been working with 2 solar companies for quite a long time now. I know many of you have met with them or talked with them. The one solar company kind of in that Duff area, west of Huntingburg, go further south of Huntingburg, and then go west of the airport. There's another group that is looking there. They're all in the process of signing up leases. I've had some other conversations with a couple of other solar companies. I don't think they're even anywhere in the ballpark close to the 2 that I just mentioned. So eventually, we think we're going to have at least 1 and probably 2 solar farms here in the southern part of the county. Just like I mentioned, we're really proud of what we do. We're very passionate about what we do, but we're more passionate about our collaborations. We've been successful with collaborations with the airport, business, government, education communities throughout Du Bois County. Our memberships in regional organizations, SWIDEC, which is the Southwest Indiana Development Council, and there'll be a test later. Radius Indiana, ROI, Southern Indiana, Gateway Talent Region. So we do work with a lot of people, partnering with state agencies like OFRA and the Southwest Indiana Workforce Board and IEDC. The thing that's most gratifying for us is half of our money comes from private business. And we've had tremendous support in the 9 years I've been in this position. We really are very fortunate to have such a very giving, supportive business group or people that are here in the county. Industries all the way from the larger industries, which you would imagine, down to very small businesses. So just again, mention the handouts that I gave you. One other quick thing. We have an all-star group of people that are on our boards. We're very fortunate. The Du Bois Strong Board, I don't know if you took a look at the folks and the names on there. Excellent people, excellent professionals. We're very lucky. Also, the Du Bois County Board, very lucky. Mike Kleesner is on our Du Bois Strong Board and has for a number of years. Thank you, Mike. Chad Blessinger serves on our executive committee. Thank you, Chad. I know you're not here, but I'll give you a shout out anyway. We are requesting the same amount of money that we had last year. So if you can do that, we'd be very appreciative. One last quick thing. We are in total support of the wellness center that Jasper is proposing. Just want to throw that in. And I want to thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Any questions of Ed or any comments? You did a great job.
Oh, you guys are, thank you for what you do. Seriously, appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Whitney,
Mine
you're ready?
I am ready, yes I am.
You're also on the, Du Bois
I have-
Strong Board too as well, aren't you?
I am, yes I am.
So Whitney, Whitney movers from Du Bois County Tourism.
Yes, and I do have a little bit of handouts. You got this one. Let's turn it that way. Okay. So I know there's a lot of familiar faces. You probably, most of you know me. I'm an Illumbers with Visit Du Bois County. With that, we're Visit Du Bois County Tourism Commission, and our job is to manage and support the visitor economy in Du Bois County. And so with that, with a strong visitor economy, obviously that will lower taxes for residents, as well as bring out some different amenities in our area that they wouldn't have otherwise. I did have a little, a few different highlights to prepare here. I won't take up too much of your time. I sometimes get a little winded, so if I start talking too long, just, raise your hand and be like, okay, enough. So with that, I did kind of want to start with talking about some of our special accomplishments for 2022. We overall had a huge lodging increase, revenue generation of an 18.3% increase compared to the previous year. So we had a record year there with a 6.9% increase in room nights. We finally filled our third staff position. So Heather Wire has been there over a year now. So we're very excited to now be 3 staff members strong like we have been historically. We are officially moved into our new visitor center. We have been over a year. We had a ribbon cutting. That took some different work, and we received some great dollars from Du Bois County Community Foundation. They were great partners, Kimball International, and it really took a lot of different individuals to make that happen. Kiosk project, we have replaced all of our kiosks, and we will be continuing every year having a new design there to make sure nothing gets outdated. So that's a new initiative of ours, as well as we are working with 2 sign guys to get the wayfinding signage updated. So that is a project to be straddled between this year and next year to be complete, so that we can get those updated because they're becoming way too old. So that's just a little update there. We had Jessica Lindauer in our office complete the Indiana Tourism Academy. She also, we partnered with 26 Digital in doing a complete digital audit where we had 150 pages that they recommended for us, and we tackled each one and have been working very hard on getting our website refreshed and updated with hundreds of pages that we have done over the last year. And we do a weekly blog, monthly newsletter. Some other accomplishments were we've had some really significant digital improvements and great successes. We reached, for our DC multi-sport, we do the admin work for that, and we reached over $200,000 that we donated to charities throughout Du Bois County. That was a really important milestone for us. We still work for our advocacy initiatives. We were able to really dive in and develop some benchmarks and key performance indicators. And we really feel like we had a really, really great year and kind of put the pandemic behind us. It was really some tremendous growth. With that, we do have some different goals that we'd like to see for our office. With the hard decision of moving our visitor center, we would like to see more visitors. So we have a goal of reaching over 200 visitors, and it looks like we're gonna surpass that goal pretty easily. So I'm very happy about that. Last year we saw 86 visitors. So we're going on a nice trend. It's gonna help when we have our signage. We had that approved last year. We're still working towards getting that. We're actually moving towards our large vertical signage next, because the other electronic is we're wanting an artistic metal look it's just dragging on too long. So we're refocusing a little bit, and we will be having vertical signage now first. So we'll have that large vertical signage. We are going to be a part of a really great project. We're working with IDDC and the Heart of Jasper, Jasper Arts Center, City of Jasper, Du Bois County Community Foundation. And with that, we put together a quasi committee and highlighted an important project was the create more place in our area. And so with that, we're transforming the 3rd Avenue Bridge into, it's called River of Dreams. So you'll be walking through it, and it'll be painted on all sides, and you kind of will be immersed into a really important art piece. It will also help connect visitors from the hotel to go on that suggested walking path and to see the other artwork. And then we also will have a mural in front of our building for enhanced visitor experience as well. That will also tie in. So really a great project. IDDC came in at $20,550 that they awarded us. And then that's a match. So we have the Heart of Jasper coming in, Du Bois County Community Foundation, Visit Du Bois County, and Jasper Arts Center, all coming in to help with that other match. So we're very excited about that. We also, website traffic, we'd like to see an increase by 15%. We received 104,000 visitors last year on our website, so 104,110. We'd like to see a 15% increase. We, which would be 119,727 visitors, but those of you that do Google Analytics realize that they changed to a GA4. It's a different way of reporting. So they only do engaged users, so we will be using that percentage and not the number because of their change with Google Analytics. Let's see, we had, we need to really work toward becoming a motor coach destination again. Pre-pandemic, we were seeing roughly 20 motor coaches a year, a really nice number. We always had that 30 goal was what we always kind of were battling towards. We never could quite reach. And then the pandemic happened, and last year we still only had 6 motor coaches. So that's a really important market for us that we need to bring back to our area. They're starting. They're doing more and more trips. I'm actually this week. There's a group leader that's going to be here for the Strassen Fest, looking to bring a motor coach next year. And we went to different travel shows to kind of try for that market to bring them back to our area. So that's something that we're really working towards. We would like to become a small market meeting destination, find those right RFPs that fit the Tinley Park Cultural Center and being able to walk across the street to the different hotels. So it's a unique kind of meeting space where it fits a lot of different RFPs, but it has to fit the right thing. Because some people want it attached and some people need a bigger space. So we are researching and trying to find those different proposals that we can try to bring people to our area. Advocacy initiatives. We have, I need to get you guys this. I'll email you guys this little link. Jessica Lindauer with our team, she has an advocacy newsletter. We would like to have 200 people sign up for, and with that, it shows what campaigns we're working on, things that are working well with our office, some nice tips that other businesses can develop for tourism, and really shows what we are working on every month and that type of thing. So I'll get you that link tomorrow. I apologize. I had a little QR code and everything. I forgot to bring it. So with that, we will be continuing working on our visitor experience enhancements, making our visitors the center a little bit more user-friendly, some more fun things to be added, as well as continue our current initiatives, which is, obviously a balance that we have to do with our time. We will continue with making placemaking type of opportunities because people want to visit unique cultural, nice places. And it all starts with a visit. It's what the research shows. People will visit a place before they move to a place, before they live in a, So with that, we really want to have those different experiences and really focus on placemaking in our office. So it's a little bit of a tweak in making sure we partner with those individuals that are doing those different huge placemaking type of opportunities. We'll be continuing our marketing and branding, our cross-platform promotions, our visitors guide, our digital visitors guide, continuous website improvements. We do a really in-depth social media campaign and advertising. We're working with 26 Digital to help with our search engine optimization to make it even better than we have been before, making sure those keywords are in place. So that was after we did the digital audit, we got our website where we wanted. Now we need to work on the back end a little bit more. So it's just those steps to kind of get even more visitors and more attention to what great amenities we have in our area. And we've been trying to work out a way this next year to release a digital Spanish tourism visitors guide, but we need to get those right partners in place. So if you know of anyone that you think would be a really good partner, I know I reached out to Lassie a couple of times, I need to forward up again, but if you personally know of anyone that you think would be a really good fit, to make a visitor's guide that actually helps and works with the Latino population, not just changing, we want to really be immersive. So if you guys, anyone wants to be involved in that project or you know someone that would be a good fit, please let us know because we really want to focus on more inclusion. So that was part of that. We are continuing advocacy, building relationships. We send all of our visitors guides home with area students this year. Instead of the high cost of the Everdoor direct mail, we decided to get it in people's hands through schools for a more free resource. And then we also continue our different relationships in cooperative planning in that we sit on a lot of different committees and boards. So I kind of list, we are a 3-person team. Myself, Whitney Lubers, Jessica Linda, our sales and marketing manager, and Heather Wire, our sales and marketing assistant. The names of those are on the back, as well as our list of our boards. And with that, Heather Wire sits on the 4-H Council. All of our staff sit on the DC multi-sport, with me being treasurer and Lindauer being secretary. I'm on Destination Huntingburg. Jessica is the liaison for DuBois, our Downtown Jackson Merchant Association, and the Huntingburg Downtown Merchants. Discover Southern Indiana Radius Pillar, I sit on that one. DuBois County Chamber of Commerce for members. DuBois Strong, I'm a board member. Explore Southern Indiana, Heather Wire is a board member. Heart of Jasper, I'm an advisory member. Huntingburg Merchant Association, I think I already mentioned that one. IDDC, Visit Indiana, we are very heavily involved with them. Indiana Foodways Alliance, Indiana Tourism Association, I'm the board secretary for the state organization there. Indiana State Festival Association, I'm an independent contractor. Jasper Chamber of Commerce, we are membership. Play like year round, I sit as treasurer and past president. RWD Music Festival, Lindauer is a committee member. Rojack, I'm a board member. CERMAC, Heather Wire is initiating more involvement with me being a board member at this time, with transition for her. And then we sit on a lot of different event committees as well, and we stay very involved with different events happening. We are having a big event happening actually in April. The DuBois County Eclipse, the total eclipse, the Great American Eclipse, I should say. April 8th is the date of that, Monday, April 8th. We had an initial meeting last August, and we kind of got some different people that was involved, letting them know maybe start thinking about different events you'd like to have in your area and have those different conversations. Then we were on hiatus for a little longer than we wanted to, and we realized we really need to push this some more traction in the DuBois County Eclipse. So our board did decide to hire an independent contractor to have a sole focus on the eclipse so that we're not missing out. And so with that, we did hire Sarah Schrader. She is going to be our Eclipse director and coordinator for DuBois County. Her past experience is with the Huntingburg Chamber of Commerce as well as Garden Gate Festival, and she's really a great organizer. She will do it to the right degree. If you guys have any interest, I don't know if you've heard about the different committees. Are you guys on any different committees?
So that Nancy sent out an email.
Okay.
Organizing things.
Nancy is in charge of the Greater Jasper District. We have a Northeast DuBois District, the Huntingburg Southeast, and then Southwest DuBois as well. We did it based on school districts, so I think it was a really great move. We originally was doing more towards committee on basis, and I really like Sarah Schrader's idea of making it more based on school districts, so it's more helpful. And I'm probably talking too long, I'm sorry. So with that, I did also kind of want to show you this snapshot here, the increases in tourism over the years. So with this is 2021 figures. It is our most recent figures. The tourism spend is at $100.4 million for our county. It supports 1,104 jobs. And if tourism did not exist, each of the households in DuBois County would have to pay an additional $571 for the state and local taxes, which is $9.9 million total. And with that, I did want to kind of state that that is the amount of dollars that is generated now. If those different initiatives, visitor initiatives, did not exist, it actually would probably be more like 5 to 10 times that number that they would have to reach those type of same type of figures. Did that make sense? Yeah, you guys have any questions for me? Yes.
On the motor coaches, have you ever talked to Orange County and Tourism?
Yes, we partner with them.
So they could do a lay, because I see a motor coach at French Lake Casino every day. So
Yes.
I don't know if we could do a lay in Jasper.
We do.
With those companies. Okay.
We do. I should say overnight motor coaches. They do have a really unique stay there, and it really is something that they really enjoy doing. Motor coaches, very easy sell to stand at a grand resort. But when they're there, they usually go to our downtown, or go to the monastery, or do those different things. And we actually work with Mindy and Brandy really well with Visit French Lick West Baden. We actually we have a co-op. It's called the I-64 Torn 64 Trail. And we work with Orange County, Gordon, Harrison County, So-In, which is Clark Floyd counties, ourselves, and then Evansville was a part of this last year. They decided not to be, but it is attractions along 64, and we put itineraries together about stay a day in Du Bois County, do this, then continue on down the trail. So we do partnerships with that, and we would like to develop more and more, and they've been great. They have been great partners, without a doubt.
And then I seen you had potentially Scott Rowland's Hall of Fame induction as a potential project.
Yes, that was, I did do this earlier in the year. I think we decided on the IDDC. We were thinking about doing maybe an art place project around the Scott Rowland. And then after further conversations, we did decide to do the 3rd Avenue Bridge and the create a mural. So we we personally were not involved in the Scott Rowland. Visit Du Bois County was not.
I was going to say the speech he gave to Cooperstown, he paid a lot of homage to Du Bois County, and it was really humble. It was a really good speech. So I didn't know if we were going to do another one, like honoring Jasper or something. I didn't know.
I think that's a great idea. I don't know, Mayor's actually here. Did you have any? I know you talked about it briefly doing something like that.
We're still looking at an opportunity to go with Scott.
So that has been talked about a little bit, but I think that's a great idea for sure. Anyone else? Okay.
Can we talk about the budget a little bit?
Yes, you can.
85,000. So how does that go? How does that work?
How our budget works?
Yeah, I mean, why such a big increase?
Well, actually, we are more on trend to be 625,000 this year. Because of our huge increase after COVID, it was very hard to determine how much we were going to get in 2021. And then we always had to do our budget so far in advance. So my different algorithms show closer to 625,000 that we'll be generating this year if we meet our marks. And so I did a 5.6% increase of that, which is 660,000. I did want to let you guys know that we do, with any residuals that we receive, we have special board votes on those. And that was one of those situations that allowed us to come in at a significant partner for the senior LPGA at Sultan's Run. We were able to give them significant grant dollars because we had those residuals. Otherwise, it would not have fit within our budget. So those special circumstances where we receive more than our budget dollars, we make special arrangements for those. We are in discussion of bringing a Du Bois County Tourism Capital Improvement Fund using some different initiatives for our 2-year. And with that, we want the council involvement. So we're not quite at that stage yet to discuss more, but we wanted to have some council members involved if we decide to move that route. So the reason for that request is because it's a little bit of a lofty goal, but I think it's achievable for 2024 to see a $660,000 innkeeper's collection.
Okay, so if that doesn't make it, something catastrophe would happen, what would happen then?
So back in 2020, when that happened, I kept the dollars in marketing for our outdoor recreation, and we really, we were able to take elsewhere. We got PPP funds. We got grant dollars, DMO grant dollars that was available to only our type of organization, and we were able to keep afloat. And so we had to quickly adjust, just like everyone else, and we would have to do that again if that would happen.
Thanks for explaining.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Shoot.
Yes, I usually do that. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you're fine. Thank you.
You could at least follow along. I didn't mean to pull you without giving you a paper to follow
Oh,
on
you're
with.
fine. You're fine.
Thank you. No. Would he be a good fit?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank
Nathan,
you.
would you be ready? I think you're think you're next, Region 15.
Oh, yeah. Here.
So if you introduce yourself a little bit, okay, public. So this is Nathan Hale from Region 15 Planning.
Yes. So I've just got a quick, and you have seen some of this. Earlier in the year, I came to introduce myself as the new director at Indiana 15. And at that time, I relayed that our board of directors had voted to increase the per capita fee that we asked for. We serve 6 counties, and so this per capita fee is equal for all 6 of our counties. And what that does is it helps us to match 2 specific grants. First of all, we receive a grant through the Economic Development Administration. And so we use a portion of the per capita fees to match that, and it's a regional-wide grant. And then we also receive a grant through INDOT, which allows us to go out and do traffic counts and work through, provide some other services for INDOT, but it all benefits our 6 counties. This year in particular, we're doing traffic counts in Du Bois County. So that is where it's specific to you this year. So what I've handed out is the first page, our per capita fees from, this year, 2023, we are at 56 cents. For next year, we are proposing an increase to 65 cents. 2 reasons. The EDA planning grant, we are in the new cycle. The previous one was at a different, let me see what the matching of that. The last grant was a 60-40 grant. With our new cycle, they put that at as 50-50, so we have to provide a 50% match. So we have to put in more from our per capita fees that we would collect. And then also the 2020 census numbers, unfortunately across the region, the total population did decrease a bit. So this proposal is simply to make up the difference for the population decrease as well as the change in the match that we have to put in for the EDA grant. The second page, this was more extensive when I passed out earlier in the year, so I just updated. We didn't have any 2023 numbers at that time. But for 2023 so far, you can see the Jasper backup water supply. This was through EDA. This grant was funded at $1.1 million. Our INDOT planning grant was funded, and that's divided through 6 counties. So you see that's a $6,640 benefit for the county. We were also successful in receiving an EPA brownfield assessment grant, and you'll be hearing more about that as we get into the process later this year, early next year. But that's divided through the 6 counties. It's a benefit of $83,333. And Du Bois County actually signed on as a coalition partner for this year. And then our EDA planning grant as well. So it comes in so far this year about $1.2 million in grant funds for Du Bois County.
So when you finish with your presentation, I'll open it up then for discussions if anyone wants to, or questions. It's a lot of information. So, but getting down to the basics here, for budgeting purposes here, last year we budgeted $24,436, and it's going to be $28,364.05.
Correct.
Is basically for our 2024 budget. And do you sit on this board, right?
Mhm.
So you have any comments or else? I know you had some new people join the organization there, or hard on, so.
No other comments. I mean, you explained it well the last meeting when we voted on that. That was the bigger pieces of business that we've had here recently.
Okay. Otherwise, no other questions. I appreciate you coming in, Nathan.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
We're really well ahead of time. Dan, are you ready?
Yep. Our treasurer's not here yet, because she is on her way.
We want to wait a little bit, or?
We can if you want to, that'd be fine. She's got our budget and everything with her.
Yeah, probably, that's probably going to be the important part.
There.
And there she is. How about that?
Perfect timing, right?
I also have Scott Schnell with me this evening.
We knew you were the most important, so that's, we were going to hold up.
Got a late thing for work today. Yeah. Yeah, so we are just requesting the same as we did last year. I know we had talked to the commissioners at the meeting a month ago about possibly increasing due to salary / compensation for the new employee. I don't know exactly what's been done. Ed can give you more information on that. So I don't know numbers on that. And excuse me, if we have to have a separate meeting for that as well, we can discuss that too. But as of right now, we're just requesting the same. We don't have any final numbers from the fair since it's been only a week post. But from my understanding, it went very well. Just your normal events. We did a few new events this year, and I think they went over very well. And our events that we have down in the grandstand, we're trying to really revamp those to get more people out there. And we did a free ride night this year, and that night, a lot of food booths sold out, so we had probably a record number out there, I would say, for that night. So we're excited to hopefully continue that so we can get numbers out there as well. Does anyone have any questions on any of
That part.
that part?
So the amount of rides, is that, it's a lot less than it used to be. Is that was planned, right, or more or less, or?
So the previous 2 years, we had Lark Ranch out there, and they had very clean rides and people enjoyed them. They did not want to get into carnivals, so they opted out, so we had to find another person last minute. Don't think it went as we expected, but we have other avenues and other people who've reached out as far as trying to get more rides and better rides for what our budget allows to get them out there.
Thanks for explaining that.
Absolutely.
I don't know if anyone have any questions?
Did all the new events at the grandstand, was the attendance up quite a bit? Because I know that.
It was up, yes.
I figured that.
Yep. We had a tough truck competition out there. It's kind of like a motocross track, if you would, but it's for vehicles. Whether it's cars or trucks, it doesn't matter. You can take a van, it could be street legal, it could be built for it. It doesn't matter. The thing is, you have to get it back on when you're done. That's the important thing. And everybody did. It was a safe fair. You always have somebody falling off a horse or something like that. But as far as that goes, as far as our rides go, they were safe. Our events were all safe. Everything went really pretty smooth. You couldn't hardly ask. And the weather was wonderful. So we had a good week of weather as well. But the other thing, 4-H impacts anywhere from 700 to 800 kids a year. It depends on the year and how many are graduating. But it not only impacts the kids, it also impacts the parents, grandparents, and aunts and uncles as well. And there's also about 350 volunteers that work with the program as well, whether it's adult leaders or whatever the case may be, committee members, different things like that. So it really impacts quite a large number of people. And they get out there, they forget something, they got to run here, run there. So they're spending money again. Granted, they're from within the county by and large, but they're also spending money within the county as well. So that helps. And then, you get family coming in for different shows. They may stay the night, this sort of stuff. So it helps with some of that as well. Getting people in, getting them involved. But Any other questions, Scott? You got anything you want to add to it?
No, sir.
We do have a new employee, Carson Kyler, his son. He's taken over Bob's position. As you all well know, Bob retired. Technically, today was his last day, but it was Friday. So he's done. He's living in Huntingburg now. And what we've got to find now is an assistant. We feel like we've got a very good young man, not saying it just because Bill's standing here or sitting here, but he does seem to be very interested. Matter of fact, his first full day technically was the 17th, which was the first day of our fair. As I say, baptism by fire. But he actually was working at Cool Springs the week before, I don't know, 3 o'clock, whatever, and then he'd come out there trying to learn some of it and was working another 6-7 hours late afternoon, evening, trying to figure out what was going on. So we feel very good about him. Now we just need to find him an assistant that do just as well. We'll find him. Sometimes it just takes time, as you all will know.
Did you say Corbin?
Carson,
Carson, okay.
sorry.
I couldn't hear which one. I just said, okay, Carson, okay.
Yeah, so we're very excited about him coming on. There's some things he wants to do, and if it all works out, we're gonna let him have at it. Kind of let him run those things like he sees fit. If we think he's in that field, then we talk about it. If not, be a man, he'll do what he needs to do. So, one other thing I'd like to bring to your attention, we've got the 2 ED buildings, the hog barn, the cattle barn, and the Clover Pavilion. They're about 55-year-old buildings. And I'm just telling you this so you're aware of it, kind of put it in the back of your brain, if you will. Some of those buildings, especially the hog barn, is going to need some serious work in the next couple of years. And quite frankly, it's going to be a safety issue more than anything. We're just going to have to do some work. We're going to get some estimates together and come see everybody and see what we can do with it.
Structural?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's just part of the hill on the west side is trying to slide a little bit, so we've tried to stabilize it best we can at this point. Patchwork, if you will. Patchwork only lasts for so long, so eventually we have to get in there and do something serious with it. It's just a matter of time. We did do, one thing we did this year was down on the outdoor arena. We always only had one entrance on the back end, so that meant fire, medical, everything else had to come through as far as participants as well, and that created a bottleneck for us. So this year, we put in another entrance on the west end for the participants to come through, and that worked out wonderful. And when I say we squeeze every dollar till it screams, and then some. We don't have a choice, folks, because the money that you all allot us goes for salaries and insurance. Everything else we have to try and raise on our own. So we, like at back entrance, I think it cost us $1,500, $2,000 to do, because we did 99% of the work ourselves. And also had some other people volunteered some heavy equipment to make it work. So we're trying to do everything we can, make it right, but I'm just saying that we're kind of, sooner or later, we're not gonna have a choice. We're gonna have to figure something out. Last thing we want to do is lose a building. Animals are coming back up again. They were down for a little bit, but they're all coming back up. Our regular projects, everybody says, well, there's not as many projects. There's not as many kids. There's the same amount of kids, but years ago, they would take 8, 10, 12 projects. So there's that many more in there. Now the kids don't work at all. They'll take 2 or 3, maybe 4 projects if they're lucky. So there's a whole lot less in our plans in that respect. So it looks like there's less there, but there's not. Same amount of kids, they're just not doing the same amount of work as they used to. Yes, sir.
I was talking to somebody on the Knox County Fair Board, and they said 10 years ago that their hogs peaked out at 600, which was a lot. They're down to 200. But they said suburban farmers, goat people, and poultry has really been an explosion for them. They've actually, I think, added on to some barns. Do you see that coming too, due to kind of the mini?
Possibly.
Our sheep numbers have gone up tremendously. We had to push some of them into the goat barn and, put 3 or 4 sheep to a pen to make sure that we were safe for the fire marshal and not putting extra pens in the barn. And goats have gone up over the past 5-10 years too. And, hogs have gone down. They're just not as popular and profitable anymore. We still see a constant number, I think. But they fill up 2/3 of the barn. So I think we're gonna have to consider something like that too.
Cattle have kind of gone by, or the hogs have gone by the way of the cattle. You have to be really big. You know, DuBois County used to have, somebody told me right, 150, 175 dairy farms at one point. We're down to about 5. And that's life. Hogs have done the same thing. Every mom and pop had a hog operation. One great big, they'd hold the high hold or wherever, and that's gone away. You got a few really big operators, everybody else has gotten out. Years ago, when the price dumped so low, my uncle that hops out was the same way. He said, it's not profitable, I gotta get out. So, and that's one of the issues that we run into in those type of things. But we do have dairy out there yet. That's picked up again a little bit. Cattle are coming from the same farms, but there's more families getting those cattle and bringing them out. So we're definitely reaching out to more individuals that way. Any other questions? Scott?
And I would like to add to build on to what Ed and Maddie said. Like in the horse barn, 10 years ago, many horses were very few. And now, you know, we've still had 82 head of horses in the horse barn this year for fair, but 19 of those were mini. So they require a pen about the size of this table or a little bit larger versus a 12 by 12 stall for a full horse or a pony, you know? So people walk through there and go, well, the horse barn's not very full. Well, it's as full as it's always been. 82 headed with the big stalls is the max we can get in that barn. Years ago, we would put temporary stalls outside. The program was so big. But so to feed on like this, you know, everybody's still coming. We had 62 families enrolled in horse and pony this year with 82 head of animals brought in. So it's still a big deal. It's just the minis are taking up less space, but you know, we're still trying to manage those. And it used to be we had exhibitions for minis 10 years ago. Now we've got jumping where they go over obstacle courses with them and they show them in hand and stuff. Obviously they don't ride them, but you know, minis have exploded in the last 10 years.
So you got llamas down there too, right?
Yeah, we have a couple of llamas on exhibit. They're not 4-H projects yet at the state level. I don't know where that's gonna go, but yeah, they do have a couple of llamas that keep in there. You don't wanna get too close.
And you guys added an agility course for dogs and didn't cost the taxpayers anything. Everything's volunteer on that or donated.
Exactly, and as a matter of fact, even down on the horses last year, put in a second arena, no cost that was all donated work. That's why I say we're squeezing as hard as we can squeeze. And a lot of people have stepped up and have been willing to help out, donate time, donate equipment. They're running it, going that route with it. So, I mean, that's all we can do. If the coins aren't there, they're not there. You know, that's just the way it is. Make it work somehow or another.
The addition of the second arena helped us out greatly because during Fair Week, before we had our sand arena and a round pen, and these horses, they're like gowers. When we lease horses to 4-H kids, they're used to being out on a pasture with unlimited water, unlimited hay. And then one day you take them and you throw them in a trailer, you throw them in a 12 by 12 stall and they're eating out of a net and they're drinking water that tastes different, which, you know, we're all in different communities. And so a horse equine, they have the same sensation. If the water doesn't smell the same or whatever, sometimes we have to dump Gatorade in and give them a little, kind of disguise the water a little bit. But anyhow, so that gave us, as the horses get cooped up for the week and they get the itches, the families wanted to let them out, but you also don't want to let too many horses out running around amongst each other in these arenas. So with the big arena, we could split it in thirds. So it gave us 5 places for families to turn the horses out instead of 2. So that helped immensely last year. Plus we've had some good shows on that other arena as well. So
It's brought some income in by doing that. So, I mean, not a whole lot, but more than what we.
Yeah.
The other issue too is it's not really an issue. It's a good thing. We're still partnering with DriveCo and Ivy Tech out of Evansville on a truck driving school out there, and that's going very well, very well. We sat down here just a while back and redid the contracts and everything, so they're good for another year, and we look forward to partnering. It's worked out very well. We had a few little things we had to address with double booking on some things, you know, when they're there as well, but we got that squared away. And, you know, sometimes you don't realize what you got until you into it. But that's all worked out very well for us as well. So,
Well, thank you for everything you do, and good luck with the assistant supervisor out there. I hope we can
we'll find somebody just to, so if you know of anyone, send them our way. We'll be glad, have them give us marking and roads and yeah. So, but no, we are seriously looking for somebody, somebody's got some skills, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, little mechanic work, all that's good stuff. If it's somebody who's willing to learn, Carson's willing to teach them, I'm sure. But it makes his life easier. All right?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you think we have the difference between this high and that surface signs, or do we need make sure we sort that with the parts board.
So Wyatt, are you ready?
Yep.
We're a little ahead of time. Is that bother you?
Not at all. I gotta get back anyway.
Okay, Wyatt, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Wyatt Madden, Director of Community Corrections.
So you're here, yes, for a couple of things, but one of them being moving up administrative assistant from part-time to full-time.
Correct.
Can you give us a little briefing on that?
Yeah, so during renovations, they actually created a new post in the new building. So work release will be entering on the right. We have approximately 80, 85 work release participants that enter through a secure corridor into the main control lobby. The public lobby, which was created during the renovation process, anybody who's not on work release supervision. So we have home detention, drug court, pretrial release, and also we provide services, night classes for people on probation. Anybody who are those people will be entering through the public lobby between the hours of 8 and 7 Monday through Friday, and 8 to noon on Saturday and Sunday. So that public lobby, instead of creating a new position for an officer, which is much more costly, moving Jody full-time is kind of the best option for that.
And I think that was approved, you presented this to the commissioners, and that was approved by the commissioners, I think on July 3rd meeting. So I don't know, any discussion there, anybody want to talk to? We have questions for what? Okay, so otherwise, I think we need, this is going to become effective tomorrow, so we have to vote on this if we're going to approve this.
Doesn't have to be, I can change the ordinance, however, I just made it for effective tonight.
Right, and we have, we're gonna have to, this is paid, I guess one other thing, this is paid out of that misdemeanor fund.
I think some of her salary was from
Drug court.
drug court,
IOS, yeah.
and this was supplemented to make it full-time.
The misdemeanor fund. And this, we checked, I was up there that day when we checked with the sheriff, this misdemeanor money is, has to be used for, must be only be used for funding the operation of the county jail programs or other local correctional facilities or community-based programs. So, the sheriff agreed to use some of this money for this additional expenditure full time. So I guess we have to.
Does the pay rate stay the same?
Well, currently he's requesting more money for her when she goes full-time.
Yes.
You guys have
Part-time,
to,
is she offered insurance?
no.
So I think it's.
Currently, she's making $17.66. In the next year's budget, you had it at part-time at $18.54. But if she went full-time, I think Wyatt's requesting $20 an hour, which would be $1,400 biweekly.
And that's because, I mean, she's got 30 years of experience as an administrative assistant in local government and school systems in Minnesota and Indiana. She's been here 4 years. She's helped with pretrial, community corrections, drug court, knows the system inside and out. And also, her pay rate now would be less than what it would be as a full-time administrative assistant if we were to keep it the same.
So, I guess, do we need to vote on, we just need to fund it if the commissioners created the.
They created it. The only thing you guys have to do is first approve the additional of $12,000 more for the position to be paid out of misdemeanor. And then we'd also need to set the salary. You guys, I left it blank because I didn't know what your choices would be. So and this being the beginning of a pay week, that's why we chose tomorrow. Because she'd be 1 day short of the full time.
Right.
Okay, so I guess what I need a motion then on is the amendment to the salary ordinance, is that?
Well, first I would need the additional appropriation of $12,000 and we'll split that between the salary, the benefits,
Okay,
out of this fund, because you'll have a pay out of the other fund as well.
okay, so anybody, any other discussion here? Or- You know, I've seen that, I was up there a couple times and seen the issue that he's got, and, you know, that was one of the big things, you know, for Megan, you know, past director. I mean, to have those lobbies separated, because, you know, you bring in the participants, you know, they got researched and all that stuff, so this way it keeps the public away from the participants. So I mean, without supervision, when they come in and they go down a hallway,
Right.
it's almost necessary. I mean, it's mandatory.
Right.
So I don't know if we've got a choice here. So-
Just to let everybody know, it's from the $17.66 to the $20 now, it's 13% increase as far as the hourly rate goes. Just letting you know the numbers and
Yeah, well,
for that.
I don't know if you're planning on increasing the 20 next year, or if you're gonna
Yeah,
keep
that
her
would
at
be mine.
20 through the year,
I mean, that would be my intention, yeah.
because we need to work on that budget and change her from
Yeah.
part-time to full-time as well. That's gonna be, we need to work on that this week with you.
And naturally, the full-time benefits, you know, it's,
Full-time benefits and then the additional pay because it's part-time and full-time job, so it's gonna be.
like I say, I mean, I think the commissioners see the same thing I see, you know, I think it's almost a necessity here. Unless we can find 2 part-time people, but you're not gonna find another part-time person that's as qualified as Julie, I don't think. You know, and that's the issue we're gonna have. And we're in you guys just moved in 2 days ago or late last week, so, I mean, it's in operation now, so we have to, you know, it's gonna have to be done something quickly here. So I guess I'll entertain a motion then to, you know, to have that $12,000 for that misdemeanor fund. What do you want to explain? Is that correct?
I'll make that motion.
Ryan has made a motion. May I have a second?
What is the exact motion to
Move the
To additional appropriation.
Additional appropriation of $12,000 in the misdemeanor fund.
And you have any other questions or? So I think we got a first and a second, so all in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? So then the next step on this,
Salary ordinance. And you have to decide what amount we're gonna pay her, if you're gonna go with the $1,400 biweekly, which is $20 an hour or less.
did you, the $20 an hour, it seems it's uncommon for department head people or employees to get an even number like that? Did you come up with that when
It was easy to work with. Doing 5 and first and
That's kind of
everything else.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's kind of
none
what I
of
was
that
thinking.
1733 or
Yeah,
whatever
that's
it was.
there's no wage in
Yeah.
county that's a.
We have a few like that, not many. They don't last long.
That really shouldn't be allowed.
So we need,
Not even 6 months.
so we got an amendment to the salary ordinance, and it's, I guess it's moving part-time to full-time, and it would be set for $20 an hour. So does anybody have any discussion there?
Does that fall within a range, with the acceptable ranges or other positions, I assume, right?
Yes.
I wanna check that.
I would really prefer you to do her bi-weekly so we don't have to pay her hourly. And she'd be like everybody else except for you do bi-weekly.
And did you,
So that's
Where does that
1,400.
fall within her range?
Probably right in the middle. I don't remember. I have that in an email.
What, is it Cobot or?
Coma 3.
It's in the drawer there.
Hang on, I got it.
So I know it goes up to 1909 start out salary next year.
1909 and 2510.
So
Is that for next
That's
year?
for next year. This year is,
1808 to.
yeah, 24, so.
so I mean, she's
It's right in the middle.
in the middle of the range, right?
Yeah.
So it comes up to what,
$1,400 bi-weekly.
$1,400?
Because she's a 70-hour week employee, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, any other discussion there? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to
I'll make a motion.
pay that.
That we maintain it bi-weekly.
Meredith seconded, so any other discussion there? So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Is this last one that's transferred, is the community correction?
You had a transfer from participant insurance to office supplies in the amount of $219.70 in project income.
Okay.
And that's offset the health insurance?
No, that was for,
Participant insurance.
that's for volunteer insurance for like road crew. We have to carry insurance when we take them out. So I think there was so much money in there, so we paid it until next year, and there was some left over. We need more money in office supplies, so just moving that over there.
Okay. Does everyone understand that? So I'll entertain a motion to make that transfer.
I'll make the motion.
Sonia has made a motion. Second.
I'll second.
Ryan seconded. Any other discussion on that? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I think that's all of them.
All right.
I mean, if we want to, more time here, do you want to make any comments on the facility out there? I mean,
Just working through the kinks right now. I moved in last Thursday. I think it's a great building. Just working through the kinks. You guys are more than welcome to come out and take a look, take a tour.
Because it's all furnished, it's all,
Looks good.
it's all set
Yeah,
up.
it was good.
You're working on the site right now, or you're trying to get the parking lot?
Yep, there's construction with the parking lot. That should be done by the end of August.
So, yeah, and I know the whole administration out there has been putting in a lot of extra hours
A lot of hours. It's been a very busy month and a half, yeah.
in cleaning and painting and just doing odds and ends. I mean, we instead of buying new bunks, you have to paint painted some of the old ones to match the new ones. So I mean, it's a great looking facility.
Mhm.
So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
That's all of us. Anyone else have any questions for me?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Call me tomorrow. work on this.
Okay.
We can set a time.
Sean, are you ready?
I am.
That's okay.
Believe it or not, we're running a little bit.
Ready as I'll ever be, I guess. I got a lot to hand out here, so bear with me. So first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for having me for this time to be able to go over all this with you. I got budgets and a lot to go over, so I'll hand out these and hopefully it's all makes sense to you. So if you want to take one, pass it down to each one of these. I got one. I got one of each. All right, so I guess the first thing I want to focus on is the health fund and then the health first funding. So spend most of the time on that. So just to give you a little bit of background, so the Governor's Public Health Commission was formed about 2 years ago to study public health in Indiana, and they realized the health outcomes are becoming decreasing in Indiana, and life expectancy going down, chronic diseases are going up. So they figured they better do something now rather than wait. So the Health First Indiana Fund was formed. It's going to be offered to every local health department to accept or turn down. And commissioners already opted in for Du Bois County, which we're very thankful for. And the Health First Indiana funding will receive for this first year is $425,460.75. With that funding, you can use it for anything needed as far as staffing, retention, workforce development, raises, public health services, and capital expenses, kind of et cetera, whatever we may need. The one packet with the governor's, I think the first one with the 3 pages, that's kind of the core services that we are now required to provide with this funding. So it's going to be a lot of extra work on our part because we don't do a lot of chronic disease. We don't do trauma, injury prevention, maternal child health. All those things they're wanting us to add is kind of what this funding is for. So it's going to take a lot of extra work on all of our parts to get this done, and then even providing additional staff. And I'll get to that kind of a little bit later. But so anybody have any questions on that? And you guys can read through that. Those are kind of the shalls and the musts of the funding of what we have to do and what we can do or shall do. Some of the core public services we already provide. We're a pretty progressive health department compared to some. We already provide the environmental inspections. We already provide immunizations, all those fatality reviews, those types of things we already do. It's just those additional services like the ones I mentioned, the trauma, injury prevention, maternal child health, those chronic diseases that we want to focus on with this new funding. But I guess the first thing I want to get into is to try to, help my staff that I currently have to retain them, develop them, and then hire more later. So,
Sean, can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
When is that state funding money going to?
it'll be January 1 of 2024. So this coming year.
Okay.
It'll be $425,460.75.
Have they pledged how long this will last? I mean, because that could really get us in a bind.
So this is not a grant. This is state appropriated money for every year. It's going on 2-year cycles. So this first year we'll receive $425,000. The next year will be doubled, so $850,000 and some change. Every year, every 2 years, the state council or whoever votes on legislation, votes on the budget, will then reappropriate that same amount for the next 2 years. So it's gonna go in 2-year cycles, and they pretty well guaranteed that the $850,000 should be there for, eternity, minus, plus or minus a few thousand. If they see, well, we need more, then they might add it, or maybe drop it back, 10,000 and divide it amongst the health department. So they pretty well assured us that this is here and it's here to stay. It's not like the state's gonna put 800 or 75 million in, 150 million the next year and just pull it out from underneath us. That doesn't make any sense. That's not gonna fix the problems that we're up against. So they pretty well assured us that it's gonna be here to stay.
Has it been finalized who was opting in and who was
The
opting out?
commissioners opted in. We've already submitted that information to the state. They have it. They have also on the list that we are opted in, yes.
No, I know we did. What I'm saying
Other
is,
counties.
that was kind of dependent on funding, right? Funding levels were gonna vary depending on who opted in.
Yes, so we won't know that until after September
Okay,
1st,
that's
probably October 1st, more than likely, because our budget and plan has to be obviously approved by you guys first, and then we have to submit it to the state September 1, the plan, the budget, with granted your guys' approval, because they want the counties to be invested in it before we, do something. So we'll submit September 1, and then they have to compile what all health departments opt in. And, for instance, say there's only 50 of the 92 counties opt in, we may get more funding, but I'm going off the base rate because I don't want to bank on more than
Yeah, no, I knew that. I didn't know when that
So this
deadline
could be more, and then I would probably have to come back after that for an additional, probably appropriation or budget change after that. But this is the bare minimum of what we've been told we will get. It could be more, it can't be less. And the same would go for year 2. It could be more than 850. You just never know. Make sense? Okay. So then getting back to basically the state also kind of wanted to investigate, because a lot of health departments are in the same boat that we are. We have problems with, staff hiring and retention. I think a lot of it goes back to, trying to keep up with industry standards and salaries across the board. So the state recognized health departments all across the state were saying the same thing. So they did a wage study with IU Fairbanks. And I kind of compressed both of them into that one sheet. It should have a lot of numbers on it, not the one with the yellow highlight, but the other one. So IU Fairbanks did a study of all health departments in the state that basically responded to the survey, which was quite a few of them. They got the minimum, the maximum, and the average salary across the state. So I took that data, put it on that sheet, and then also did just a very quick search across the industry of what a nurse can make or an administrator make outside of the health department. And those are listed, so basically high, low, average. And then from there, I started talking with Mike to try to get a plan of, what to do. I don't know, do you want to explain kind of what we did in the process, or do you want me to go through it real quick?
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay.
The groups that you put together.
Yeah, so the first meeting we had with Mike and Sonia and Dr. Wofford, our health officer, and then Senator Messmer. I wanted to bring him in because I wanted to make sure that this was going to be in line with what their intention was behind this funding, and he was obviously in on the boat, and he absolutely agreed. If you don't pay your staff, you don't take care of them, they're not going to stay. And even if you can't try to hire somebody new that is qualified. So he absolutely agreed, with trying to help out with raises and then whatever other services we're going to provide. So then after that, I kind of wanted to bring more councilmen. Obviously, I couldn't bring everybody in because if you go over 3, it's a public meeting. So I think Mike invited Meredith and Ryan to the next meeting. I think Sonia was out. And basically, I gave them the information that you have on that one sheet, the average, low, and the high, and kind of let them establish what they thought a fair salary was for each position. And kind of went from there. So, and then on June 5th, after our Board of Health meeting that they approved the budget that you should have, I sent an email out to everybody, kind of let them know what we went through. And then I think I actually talked to most of you personally after that, just to kind of answer questions and any concerns that you may have. But that was kind of the gist of where we are before this. And then the sheet with the yellow highlight is what they kind of come up with in that meeting. I gave them those numbers and they said, well, we feel a nurse should be somewhere in this range, and every one of them is within the salary range per hourly rate. We didn't go above that. Some of those we couldn't even get to it, even if we went to the maximum. So we kind of settled somewhere in the middle. And, obviously Mike was saying that our health insurance has to be worth something. That's why we kind of settled for a little bit less than what the industry was and, somewhere around what the average was across the state. And, I kind of feel like we're more of a progressive health department. We're probably a little bit above average, but, whatever they agreed on is what I was happy with. So, and that's comparison from 2023, what we are now, to 2024 is what is proposed to be is the difference between, and this is counting the 6% raise that you guys have already told us to budget for. So there was a few positions that actually, to get them to like a fair wage of what the three councilmen believe was comparable to the industry standard. Some of them received a little bit more than 6%, but there was about, I think, half of them that just received 6% because their salary was already within the range of what the average was across the state. So basically, how are we going to pay for this? That it won't come out of county funding. So what the Health First Indiana plan allowed us to do is to move. So basically, you can see on the sheet, the difference between 2023 and 2024 with the 6% across the board, and then the additional was 71,000, I think, in some change. So we took 30,000 out of the health fund, which was professional liability, the $30,000 edit fund, that was the county edit fund. And then we took $20,000 out of the travel line item, moved them over to the Health First Indiana grant. That's a total of 80,000, so that's 9,000 some change extra if something goes wrong that we took out of the health fund and moved it into Health First Indiana plan. So then the 30,000 goes back, and the edit fund goes back to the county council for obviously to you guys to use, whatever you need. We'll supplement that funding with the Health First Indiana plan or the fund. So basically the entire 6% plus the additional raise is going to come out of the Indiana Health First Indiana funding. So it won't cost the county really anything right now. And as far as sustaining this, as long as our revenue, expenses, tax money, and health fund, along with the Health First Indiana plan, continues, to go up the next year, which it will, there shouldn't be any problem at all, sustaining this low raise for years to come. Is there any questions on that before I move into the budgets and the new positions that I'm going to have to create for this fund?
I think, there's a lot of information here, and I know you're going to get into it deeper, but we will not vote on this tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if this is for budget time, I think it's, for the time constraints we've got on the 16th of August, I want to have the information that you can take home and analyze yourself.
Mm-hmm. And like I said in the email, feel free to call me or reach out to me. I'll explain everything that, we're doing and how we're coming up with this, and try to answer any questions you have. I know there's a lot to digest there, and but I just wanted to kind of bring it to your attention of what the plan is and how to, try to build my staff for the future, because this is obviously going to be a lot of work on our part to provide all these extra services that we've never done before. It's going to be a learning curve. I mean, we're just going to have to play it here, and most of it's going to be done probably by the current staff. So hopefully, that can justify the little raises that they may be getting.
Yes, and like you had said, we had the spreadsheet on what other counties and cities around us on health insurance, what it costs.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that we're getting, we've got a favorable health insurance rate here in DuBois County. But I think at least the four of us that were at the different meetings kind of agreed.
Yeah.
But I mean, we didn't see anything really. I don't want to speak for everyone here, but not, I mean, we didn't just sit down for 15 minutes and go through this. I mean, we spent
a lot of time.
an hour and a half, 2 hours each time. So when we went you know, in detail. So that's, being interrupted.
Yeah, no problem.
So we can go ahead with it then, unless there's other questions.
What were some of the new things that you'll be doing that we don't do? Like,
So on that,
on the health service, right? I'm just,
so we currently don't do tobacco prevention cessation, so we're gonna have to start doing that because it says shall, try to help people, you know, eliminate tobacco from their lives, vaping, all those types of things.
I have a question about that, Sean. I know that there are a number of trained facilitators now in the past few months at the hospital. Is that something that can be partnered up with, or you can take
Possibly.
advantage of
Yes,
their knowledge in that? 'Cause I know it costs money to send people to train.
Yep.
Okay.
could be a partnership that, you know, we work out and say, well, these providers are already providing it, we've got that covered. We feel like in DuBois County, just as long as, you know, those services are open to everybody, because we have to be open to every 42,000 people in the county, not just those that are, you know, insured, underinsured, or, you know, that might be a concern. You know, some people may only accept certain patients and not be able to get in. So that's one of them. Chronic disease prevention is another one that we really don't focus on yet because it was never a requirement. Trauma injury prevention, either we do fatality review. Maternal child health is another big one that we're probably going to try to focus on in year one. School health liaison, we currently have one of those. Lead case management, we do access and linkage to care, clinical care. We don't currently do, but probably we'll be looking into that. TB we do, health-related areas in emergency we do, immunizations we do, infectious disease surveillance we do, vital records, food protection, environmental public health protection, we all do those. So we've already had a lot of core ones done. It was just additional services that they added to us that we didn't, you know, technically provide. Really, not many departments did because it was not a requirement. So.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, so do you want me to go through the budgets or?
I don't know if that's necessary.
Well, I guess for the health person, yeah, I have to, well, unless I have to come back for the budget hearing or this is my last chance.
You're coming back, you're scheduled.
I didn't think I was for August.
Come back.
Yeah, August 16th, you're scheduled on it.
Okay, so now I'm over
I
to stand.
think you have a half an hour.
Okay, because the commissioners already approved the positions. I just need to get this budget approved for the 3 new positions. I'll do that in August.
Can you do that tonight?
I can, yeah.
Positions.
Yeah. So if you go, do they have these budgets down tonight or not? Okay, so
We don't
I
have
didn't
it all
bring
finished
copies
yet.
of all these for you, so I'll just go through it real quick that what the commissioners approved and what our plan is for the health first funding on top of what we just explained. So the plan is to hire one environmental/health educator. They'll be providing a lot of these education type services that are required through the public health service. So tobacco prevention might be working with other agencies, chronic disease, you know, as far as obesity and diabetes, kind of education on that. Trauma injury prevention and what was the other one? Maternal child health. So kind of educating the public, whoever's willing to listen or learn to come and learn about those topics. That's what their position is going to be, and also probably a big portion of the job is going to be referrals. So if they need a doctor, they're going to know they need college residency because now they have openings because they have the residency at the hospital, those types of things. And then probably one of the biggest things we're going to do is we're going to partner with Vanderbilt County to bring the 3-3 program here to DuBois County. So that's going to be focusing on the maternal child health. So with that, we're going to hire 2 community health workers, and those are actually going to be doing home visits. Each community health worker can handle 25 patients. So they're going to be signing up pregnant or expecting women up to the child is age of 3, doing home visits, teaching them anything from, you know, safe sleep to resiliency to help them with any types of services they may need, basically to provide parenting skills to those expecting mothers that they may not know, or they just may need to reiterate and try to provide those children with a more nourishing type environment to where, you know, whenever they start school, you know, they're ready and ready to go. So there's those 2 positions will be covered, and then that
You call them health workers, but they're
community health
are they
worker.
RNs?
No, the RN is gonna be, I was gonna just get to that. So
Okay.
the program also requires an RN to do the medical portion of this, so like blood pressures and all those types of things. The plan is to take one of our home health nurses and convert them into the nurse for the pre-3 program, and then kind of let the other one manage the caseload. And as, you know, probably gonna focus more on the home health of the absolute needed population. And then possibly in the future, you know, look at, you know, scaling that back even more depending on the need.
Sean, where do we rank in Indiana out of 92 counties on infant mortality?
You're asking me a number off the top of my head. I know in this area it's a concern. I don't know what we rank right off the top of my head, but
I just, because you said she was going to do the young infant type trainings, seems like we might have a room to improve there. I didn't know where it ranked. Honestly,
I know
I felt like it was about 50%.
we're definitely on the higher end compared to some. And I don't know the exact percentile off the top of my head. But like I said, we're going to partner with Vanderbilt County, and they had high infant mortality rates. And with this program, they basically, you know, decreased it by, I think, probably 70 to 80% because of this education. A lot of them come from, you know, safe sleep. They're co-mingling or co-sleeping, and you know, they get tired, they roll over on baby, and baby suffocates. It's just that simple. So teaching those skills, and car seat safety is another one. You know, if they're not buckled up properly. So I think we'll know more once we start getting into meetings with Vanderbilt County. We're actually going down there Wednesday to start, you know, talks of developing this program.
Sorry.
That's a good question. I just, I don't know it off the top of my head, sorry.
So that's for the positions.
So those are the 3 positions, yes. And then obviously the things that I told you in the health budget is going to be moving over to cover. Those will be in there, and there's already, you know, $50-some thousand that was already in the local maintenance and trust that you guys approved every year. That is going to remain in this budget. It's basically taking those 2 funds, combining it into one. So those items have to stay in here. So.
Sounds like a good synopsis of everything, so appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Don't see any. So, thanks a lot for coming in and explaining that.
No problem. Like I said, if you guys don't have any questions, feel free to call me or ask me or email me. I'll try to explain it out. Trying to rush through here tonight in 15 minutes is a lot, but we'll go from there.
So we will see you on the 16th then. So
What am I scheduled?
I'll call you.
Okay. So I thought this was my last chance.
I thought it was too. I thought it was going to come in tonight.
No, I think I have you on there.
Because I've got like 6 budgets here I have to get approved.
No.
Okay. So just call me with my time because I don't have anything down. Okay. Is that it? Any other questions before I go?
No, it's just such a big change that it's good to hear more of it ahead of time.
Yeah,
All
thank you.
right. Thank you for your time.
Sean, is that your budget?
Oh, it is. Thanks. I'll come back for that one.
We're a few minutes ahead, but if you want to, Mayor.
Try to help you. Unless you go,
Yeah, help us get going on that.
come back,
Yeah, why don't you, if you,
give them a couple minutes.
probably getting tired of sitting back there.
I am, I need to, I think go all hobble up here.
I hope your mind isn't blown with all this stuff through that.
You know, I just, I'll start out by introducing myself, Dean Von Arden, Mayor Jasper, but I'm here, I guess, just to kind of emphasize the thing that I saw the most tonight, and that's better together. You know, and that's the name of the initiative that we have on the Regional Wellness Center. We think we're much stronger going forward as a partnership with Memorial Hospital, with YMCA, with the Indiana National Guard, with the county. We think it's an initiative that deserves,
some consideration going forward, because it's gonna have an impact on the things that Sean talked about, on the health initiatives, Du Bois County Health Partnership. I think of all the things here recently that we've been partnering on, roads and bridges. The regional sewer district, Mary was here earlier today. There's so many things that I think get lost when we start thinking of the municipality versus a region. And I really believe we are stronger when we work together in partnerships. And I'm really kind of proud of the fact that we've spent 2.5 years putting together a plan for the Regional Wellness Center. And the YMCA is a partner, and they will be a part of that. So will Memorial Hospital or Deacons, whatever they're going to be called in the future. So will the National Guard, and so will the city of Jasper and other organizations, whether it's Optimus Club or Rotary or Kiwanis, Boy Scouts, it could be Young Life. There's so many things that are going to coexist in this location. That's what it's intended to do, is kind of bring the regional community together. We've estimated the cost of this project at $37 million, and which is no small piece of change. And we're putting together a capital stack. We're working on every component, every item we can think of to try to make this thing happen in its whole, not with anything severed from it. And at this point in time, we have started making some calls on some of the leaders in our area, some industry and private partners, if you will. The response has been extremely positive. We've had, I think, over 9 meetings, and every one of those meetings, the response has been extremely positive. And this is talking to people about their donation, their commitment to the project. And so I really feel like we're going to be moving forward with a significant amount of the project cost, the $35 million reduced. Our target is to get it down to $22 million and running forward. But I think you've received a letter signed by Mike Steffi and myself. Mike is on vacation. Or else he'd be here tonight. He had not planned to miss this. Believe me, he was going to make the request. But I said, you go on your vacation. We got a lot of work ahead of us. And so I'm here tonight just to kind of reemphasize the fact that we would love to have Du Bois County as a part of this project with the contribution. And I believe everyone received a copy of the letter. Is that true? Yeah. Great. I don't know, I'll open it up and just say that a project like this doesn't come along once in a lifetime. It's a chance to make a difference in our region. It'll make a difference in employment opportunities from a talent attraction. It'll make a difference in our health and wellness in the area. And I just believe in it so much that I feel like if we wouldn't be here and talking to the county council as a partner, I'd be remiss. I would be embarrassed in fact that I would. So I'd like to answer any questions you might have at this point in time. The crust is on the table. We'd like to see the county come forward with a $1 million contribution toward this project. I think it would make a huge statement. Alex?
Mayor, I'm excited for the project. Some rumblings I've been getting, and I'm sure Mike could answer this maybe better than you, in the Ferdinand area, the way the YMCA was handled, some of them feel like they're getting shorted on some stuff that was going to go to the promise to the Ferdinand YMCA. Now, I don't know the details about it real well, but I didn't know if you had heard that or could talk to that, because I've been asked about that a few times with the pool and stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that. Mike had been asked that several times. At the time, the YMCA, when they started there in the Ferdinand community, it was fully funded by YMCA fundraising. There was no partnership with the community. There was no other partners involved in it. And when they did the analysis, they felt like they couldn't go forward with the pool at the time. They went back to their donors and made that clear they weren't going to be able to. and yeah, it was a miss on it, but, you know, there's no doubt, pools, I'm gonna say, are a losing proposition when it comes to financing. They are a necessity as far as instruction, as far as rehabilitation and those kind of things, but you don't always get the fees back to pay for the pool. And I think in YMCA, they had to do a standalone. They weren't gonna be able to do that. Working regionally, you know, there's a lot of things that we do in the city or do collectively, like the regional sewer district. Neither one of us could probably afford to do it on our own, but together we can make it happen. And I think that's kind of what Mike's perspective is on this, as he looked at other models. But it's a good point, and it's been brought up. Other questions you might have? I know he's anticipating that in the early years, I think 12% of his membership right now is from our zip code, 47546. And so he expects that membership is going to grow here. It's going to be a reciprocal membership as well. He thinks it actually might stimulate some growth at the firm. So, and at this point, he's made the comments in our meetings that they're running out of space. They're running out of programming space. So believe it or not, with the expansions that they've had, and I'm hoping this is a trend in the awareness about health and wellness in the county, that we can do something about health and wellness for all the residents going forward. So,
How do you think this is going to impact already like wellness gyms and facilities in the county? You think it's going to pull some memberships from them, or do you think?
You know, I wish I had that crystal ball to be able to show the future, but what we've seen is that these private health clubs and organizations like the YMCA can coexist. You know, and that usually there's a niche for the private health club that they focus on individual memberships, where this membership is really focused on family memberships. It's to try to provide family rates, affordable rates and scholarships. You don't get that in too many private clubs. So from a competition standpoint, we're hoping that, and I heard this from an owner as well, it could actually stimulate as people become more familiar with health and wellness, and they look at these other niches to develop and take it to another level. I don't know. But I only know that they coexist today in other communities, and there's no reason they shouldn't in this. I think there is private membership.
Have like a niche, like a bodybuilding or, you know, CrossFit or whatever. So I know they do have somewhat of a niche that the Y probably wouldn't be able to help with or divert from or whatever. So.
Mayor, you might also talk about the excitement about providing services for our older age groups.
You know, obviously the building itself is we're going into this, but Y is going to be programming in there as well as the hospital and the Parks Department. But it's for all ages and all capabilities. You know, so as people age out in physical therapy, or not age out in physical therapy, but Medicare is used up and you no longer have funding toward physical therapy, you can do lifelong exercises at a YMCA because it's developed for that. They have the same equipment and at a reasonable price. And so those kind of things help out quite a bit. But it's, again, all ages and all abilities. We'll see this as a place to congregate within the county. We believe it's going to reach beyond the county boundaries as well. You know, we think it's going to pull in from some of the surrounding counties because it's going to be that unique of a facility here in this area.
What's your planned or ideal fundraising timeline, whether it's like private, public?
You know, I'm glad you asked that because it's changed so many times. And I'll tell you what I know right now, okay?
So we can go with.
Yeah, well, we started out, we said it was gonna be a go, no-go referendum, and it was gonna be this fall. And we weren't gonna be prepared. We have no clue as to how much money we're gonna be able to fundraise, or whether or not the Ready Grant, or any of these grants that are available to us would be awarded to us until next spring sometime. So we go, oh, put it off to next spring. Well, next spring is still too late to be able to put the wording to a referendum. You have to have that like January 1st in order to have a referendum in May. So through some of the people that we have on our team, it was suggested that we move that to 2024 in the fall. The fall voting is usually a heavier turnout as well. And so that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at a fall referendum to be a property tax backed bond. The amount will depend upon how much we can raise and put it in our capital stack between now and, say, the summer of 2024. So it gives us a year to work on it. So we should know, like Ready's coming out, we should know if we receive any Ready money toward that. We should know if we receive some of the other grants we're going to apply for and see how that all adds up. The target is to build the capital stack large enough through donations and through grants that the challenges that we would have on a property tax would be minimal, if not existent. But I'm going to say minimal. I know, right? I don't want to go to zero. You can't control what you can't control. We are in a process of, we had the second reading for the food and beverage tax. We'll have the public hearing is a week from now. And then after that, in September, we will have, or in August, we will have the third hearing on the food and beverage tax, and that'll go toward this as well. We're looking at using edit funds. We're looking at using some of our TIF funds to help with the capital stack. Again, minimizing the amount we have to bond so that the bond payments are reasonable over time.
So behind the scenes, it's still full speed ahead on private.
Oh, yeah. The private and what we can get up in front to commit toward that capital stack makes a big difference. And if the county can commit to this, it will make a huge difference in how we go out and get people to contribute toward it. Because they see that then as you are partnering with. It is a regional thing. Tri-County YMCA says one thing. It's 3 counties working together, right? Memorial Hospital is a regional hospital. Indian National Guard is a regional player. This facility is going to be a regional facility. Other questions?
The question I had, the size and the scope of the project, I guess, can you touch on that? I guess what concerns me is the big dollar amount.
Oh, sure.
And how do you said, you'd like to maybe see it down to 20 million. How would you do that? Can you explain that a little bit? How would we make that? Decrease the size of it? Eliminate the pool?
No. It's a $37 million project as it's being proposed.
And that's
what's being proposed.
What if as a community, we can't raise that kind of money?
So
at
the end of what we will have is commitments, and some of those commitments will go away if we have to scale it back. So we will do with what we have, and we will build something in that location. There will be something there. We have to have a facility moving forward. And we'd like to go into it with the scope as it exists today, because it's meeting the needs that have been identified by the partners and by the community. But, at that point in time, when we know next summer, we should know. And if it gets voted down in the referendum, then we will scale it back. But we're going to plan going forward with the whole thing.
And the other thing is like, the other thought I had here is the special meeting you have on the 7th. It looks like the 7th of, at City Hall. I think, if we're interested, I think the city council asked to see more of a funding, how this is gonna be funded is one of the questions I read in the paper. So I think if any of us can attend, that would probably be a good thing to try to follow.
Well, we are doing that. I'm having those individual meetings right now, so that they have that before we go into it. That's like capital stack I was just talking about, Mike, with the TIF being a portion of it, the edit funds being a portion of it, and then the food and beverage tax. Those are three key components. Then donations, the $15 million that we're targeting there. At this point, based off the meetings we've had, we think we can get that.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
We went through the jail project. I mean, that's not near what this is costing. And we ran a different interest rate market than we are now. So I mean, there's we've got some headwinds here, I'll call them, to get this, inflation still a factor. So, I don't want.
So your help would be.
I don't want to throw cold water on it. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of headwinds here.
Also, I think we have to remember that we've already contributed to other cities and parts of the county in different ways, like the Stellar communities for Huntingburg. We gave money for that. 4-H Fairgrounds, we helped them with the stadium. Different other communities, we've given money to that as well. So I think as a county, we need to make sure we spread the money around to the different communities. And I don't know, I think this is a good thing. Like you said, we're partnering with a lot of regional entities, and it's something not just for Jasper, it's something for the entire county, and we are the county. So I think, I personally feel our support would be a good thing and it would be justified in this. Where would we get the money from? Sandy, what do you think? Get it from edit funds or?
It's not.
That's gonna be something later on to figure out.
You guys have contemplated that in your budget meetings probably.
Well, we'll talk about it. We're not making a decision tonight, that's for sure. But, I like your idea there, if, we don't wanna, it would probably be over a period of years if we would do anything, because it's not something, it's not a, you're not breaking ground on it, it's one of these things you're raising money to anticipate, so, we have to look at that too, and I told Mike, I had a conversation with Mike over there, we've got a lot of balls in the air here for ourselves, we've got a lot of requests for deputies, we got, it's just ongoing, and, you face it the same way we do. It's nothing's cheap anymore, so it's something we have to have the money first of all, before we get to even commit anything.
Yeah, I agree, and I understand over time, and we're making that available through the YMCA fundraising to do it over time. The key though is the more we have up front, the less we have to bond, and the bond payments are really the critical part of it. They become a burden if they get too big down the road. So the more upfront, the better. And that's really our goal. That's why a year of fundraising is really critical for us. We're just in the silent phase. We haven't gone public fundraising yet. But again, in the silent phase and in the public, when we do go public, it's going to be great to say that, hey, we got Du Bois County behind us. I just thank you for considering it, and
thank you for
reach out and let us know if you need anything.
Mayor, I was gonna say, we do have a whole spreadsheet that shows the plan, the financial plan for how this would all play out and how we would, assuming a $22 million bond, meaning $15 million raised. So if any of you need or want to see that detail, just email me and I'll be happy to share. But we definitely have put a ton of time into analyzing exactly how that payback would look. So
that worries me more than.
Yeah, I mean,
You
we
know, because
started
you
that,
gotta pay the money back somehow.
we started
Just
that
like when you go to the
process.
bank, now, you know, the interest rates are 7%. Well, even if you're municipal, tax exempt bonds have gone up.
We've,
A lot.
we've been very conservative. We are using 7%. We started this analysis back in 2021, and it's just been an evolution. So, we definitely have the information.
Okay, well, thanks for
And it changes,
allowing us to.
it's dynamic, it's changing as we go. And it's,
And I would say there's a hidden payback that we don't measure. When you look at the state statistics for county's health, where we rank low, when
Really,
you get a healthier population that's not just shopping at the dollar store for groceries and gets involved in these type of centers, that pays dividends for the county. So I don't know that you can measure that right away, but I appreciate it personally. So I would hope the county would have some skin.
the other thing I wanted to tell you is that right now, we're hoping that we could start breaking ground in 2025.
yeah, I didn't give a timeline on that.
That's great.
So, end of 2024 with the referendum and out to bid and breaking ground. That's still a 2-year project, 2.5 years to build it, so.
Interest rates might be down with that.
Maybe.
Well, hopefully the referendum, I mean, you don't have a negative on that, because that means you gotta start all over, don't you? You have to have a year break.
So the referendum will be advertised for the entire project, which is, as you know, $37 million. But if we're not successful in the referendum, we will go forward with a smaller project. So
You can't do the same project.
Right, we can't do this.
we'll have
That's
to,
what I meant.
but just as by way of an example, not because this is what would happen, but if we remove the pool, for example, the aquatics portion, that would be a $10 million-ish change. So that would be substantially different and would not violate any problems.
What do you expect your food and beverage tax to bring in?
About $500,000. $495,000 is what we have in our plan. Baker Tilly had given us an estimate of $570,000, so we're being conservative on that.
And that sunsets, does it go away after the project's
When the
done?
project's done, 20 years.
When the bond's paid.
When the bond's paid, not okay.
Yeah, so we look at a 20-year bond, it'll be 20 years.
Is there any confusion from the public on the existing outdoor pool? It's not had a lot of questions. Is that a part of all of this? I'm
It
like,
is not.
no, it's not. It wouldn't be. What's being proposed is not. I've heard some of that. I don't know if you all
It is a separate project.
There's some, I think there's some misunderstanding with the public, when I read anyway, so that's probably.
Probably because it's so close to each other.
Yeah,
I think it is. But
We will be presenting that project publicly at the next park board meeting, which is August 8th. So if you're interested, that's where that project will be introduced.
I'm pretty excited about that project too, because that's come a long way. It's gonna be an exciting replacement.
we're at
of the existing.
67 years, I think. My kids attended the very last day and they insisted on being there for the last month.
Is
Oh, yeah.
So if
Yes.
a lot of our assets that we build make it 67 years, you know, that replacement, that's something. It's pretty good life out of it. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, thank you all very much.
Take care, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care. The other restroom going.
Well,
Go ahead. This is-
Go ahead.
I got another hour of stuff here.
No. Doing kind of like more of analysis of like the general fund, 'cause that's probably where the sheriff's, the positions are gonna come out of over the next from the last 2011 to 2022, and it seems like, you know, there were years of loss, years of gain and everything, but overall the average has been like, it's the amount that we started with, because we started with so much money that we're given, some that we used. It's been going down on average of almost 150,000 a year, so it's getting less and less on average.
What fund is that?
General fund,
Okay.
that's over the past like 12 years. And that's what I thought that would be where we take the money for the new positions for the sheriff.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, almost half.
if it's decreasing on average throughout the years, then it wouldn't be a good source to get to fund new positions, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Sandy, we have a couple more appropriations.
Yeah.
Is what we have to cover in it.
Yep.
Daryl's not here yet, so we'll wait for him. Sorry. Whatever you're ready, let's do those.
Okay. In the general fund, I have $10,000 for jail inmate medical. I think the sheriff talked about this last time he was here.
So we have to do that individually.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the sheriff explained that to us. So if there's no discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve that $10,000. Meredith has made a motion.
I'll second the motion.
And Ryan is second, so any discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
In the general fund, courthouse repair and maintenance, $5,600. They're doing the security up in the courtroom and the judges to secure the second floor. Scott had most of it from LATCF money, but he needed a little bit more. So that he used his budget, and this is to replace that funding, so he can continue on.
And that LATF fund, that's probably pretty well default.
Well, the first 50,000 is spent.
For 20.
Today, we received the second 50,000, so we'll need to start working on that.
Is that a basic, a year, or is that?
No, it gave us 100,000. We got it in 2 tranches.
Okay.
And so and then it just opened up the day before I left on vacation, so I went ahead and just submitted it, today it came in.
Okay, that's great. Okay, $5,600 then, for those repairs up at the sheriff, up at the courtrooms, I guess is what it is. So, any other questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion for $5,600 additional appropriation from the general.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Gerald just made a motion, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Sonia is seconded, so any further discussion, otherwise all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. In the lit ed fund, $83,000 to replace the annex chiller. The commissioners had taken some quotes on it, and this was the lowest quote.
Feels pretty good in here.
I think it's stuffy,
That's what-
and I got that turned off.
I don't think it worries me there, I mean, if we run into any extras there, he'd have to come back for the additionals.
Well, that's the, I do have a copy of the quotes, so that's their quote.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, when
Oh.
you want to get out there, all the roof needs to be, whatever happens, So anyway, any questions, other questions there?
I'll make the motion to approve that 83.
Okay, so
Chiller.
Ryan has made a motion, may I have a second?
Second.
Doug has seconded, so any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
I had Cume Cap, $20,000 for solid waste vehicle. You guys may know more about it than I do. I don't attend those meetings, but the commissioners did, I guess.
So we gotta do that individually?
Yep.
Okay. So I think they're wanting to replace that vehicle. She came in and talked to. Any questions
Last
there?
actually came out, talked about it, yeah.
Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve that $20,000 transfer.
I'll make a motion.
Sonia has made a motion, and a second.
I'll second.
Meredith has seconded. Any discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? So that carries.
Okay, Kim Cap, another capital outlay of $20,000 for computer equipment. We just had to spend almost $11,000 or $12,000 for new UPS batteries for the new switch that's going to be coming in. They had to delay it because we didn't have the right power source, so now this should put enough power behind the switches so that they don't go off. And they also had to run some new electricity behind it for the different kind of plugins. So.
Okay. Any questions on that computer equipment? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the additional appropriation of $20,000 from our Kim Cap.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Ryan. Ryan has made a motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Alex seconded. Alex? Seconded.
I got it. I don't always know your voices, and sometimes I have to think.
Okay, you had to look twice. Okay, so any other discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Stuart was in here talking about the Jasper PSAP, the digital, for $24,000 out of statewide 911 surcharge money.
Yeah, you explained that in detail on this meeting, so any questions there?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay.
24,000.
24,000.
Second.
And Doug seconded, so Ryan and Doug. So any discussion? Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
That should be all I have.
So when you get caught up there,
I'm with you.
okay, can you?
Oh, good.
Can you just give us, since I was being the president of council and Chad, on the audit, can you just give us a brief synopsis of that audit? I've only sent out.
You should have got 21s today in the email. I don't have 22s yet. That's a federal. 21 was not federal because we didn't get over $750,000. We'd spent over $750,000 of federal money. So it was not federal. The federal one, I expected any day. I don't know why it didn't come together with it. Basically, I thought it was a very good audit. They didn't really have any big findings, which is great. They did have a few suggestions. They would like to see us do an incentive policy for gift cards, gift taxing, if people have the incentive cards that they hand out to participants, if they do shirts, if they do take home vehicles, which we do a lot of that already. They just like a policy written in that. Trying to think what else they.
So they just wanted to see a policy if we do
Well,
gift cards, or something included.
When you do an audit, they pick so many at random claims that we have paid out, and one of them was our Visa card, and in that we had purchased, not we, but one of the departments had purchased incentive cards for their participants, so they wanted to see that, and we didn't have a policy on how they give them out, who they give them out to. They didn't have a very good inventory, so now they have a better inventory of them, because that is a county asset. So we will be, Marky and I are working on that policy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I wanted to bring up is we discussed the sheriff and the community corrections commissary funds.
Yeah,
okay?
that as
So,
well.
I sent it out. I was sent out, the sheriff did, and I think I looked at it over the weekend here, but, and then the auditor, she said, it's our responsibility as a council to look at this and question these expenditures. And I had a discussion with the sheriff, and he says, he's gonna go ahead and send this one out. This is the first 6 months of, it's biannual, so I mean, or twice a year, what I'm saying.
I think the statute says you're supposed to review it twice a year.
Right, in January, so July 1st, he was supposed to get it to us, and he's a little late, but that's all right. And then December 31st, he has to send the second part of the year. So I want, I kind of think, I asked him because, some of these, the auditor looked at them, the state auditor looked at it and said, well, this is so much money expended and it's just it's an IGA or, what I'm saying, it's something. And then, I asked him if he could give us a better interpretation of
I
it.
agree with a lot of, it's just
Yeah.
rats and north
It
or
looks,
whatever, and they
I
have
put
no
more
idea
detail in
where
my
they're
checkbook, what I'm saying, so I can remember myself. So I don't know, just so if anybody, the sheriff said I don't know, I don't want to do this in a public meeting because it's going to be too time consuming, but if you got any questions, just call the sheriff or we can set up a meeting if we want to go through it as a group, a couple of us. So, but I wanted to at least bring it up. She made special attention to this, that it's our responsibility. So, as a council. So, that's one thing. But I agree with you, the audit, she's very complimentary on Sandy, their staff. It's just, she said if she could do every audit, she'd come here every day.
Is that right? Well, that's good.
Because I think Sandy's got such good books, you know where
It's not just me, I got 6 ladies who work for me who do an excellent job.
And they all, they just.
And sometimes people don't like what we have to say, but we do it for a reason.
But she was very complimentary.
So then the sheriff also said that he would get, he said he would have whoever prepares that to do a little non-descriptive. I thought, in one of his emails, I thought.
Yeah, that was on an email you read, so I'm sure.
I thought I saw it, or maybe I talked to him or something like that.
It was on an email, yeah, he'll take care of it.
I talked to him several times in the last few weeks, so.
Because he could use this thing, you're supposed to be on this form.
Yeah, he could also use like more descriptive.
Right, he could say, and I asked him, why can you put this on a spreadsheet, well, it's gotta use this form. So, but even here, like
I believe this is the actual.
And the next line, this was.
Mine's cut off.
So, no big deal, I just wanted to make you aware of it. We talked about the construction phase, Community Corrections is moving, they moved out, I was out there this morning, they're trying to get the jail pod cleaned up and they gotta do some, a little bit more flooring in the jail pod and then the sheriff's gonna move into that jail pod.
When will the sheriff's department move over in that?
I got here, I think it was August 14th.
Okay.
When they're gonna move the inmates. So it's, and I did bring the schedule, I didn't wanna scare anybody with that, we're into, we're into late January, February for this project. Which we were all holding our fingers crossed that we'd be done by the end of the year, but that's not gonna happen. So it's just one of those things. But I think everybody's pretty pleased.
When they start demoing that current facility, who knows what's in there?
Yeah, it's all this, the existing sheriff's office is all precast slabs. And they're taking the walls out, all the jail cells. So while down, they gotta support all those, so they don't collapse. And then they gotta get up in there and put the new ductwork in the furnace, it's a complicated affair, it really is. So, but everybody's got the right attitude. I went last Thursday and they had another coordination meeting with all the contractors that sat in on that, just to know what's going on. So everybody's got the right attitude. Naturally, everybody wants to get finished at some point here. I guess the other thing I had is this, this annual conference up in French Lake. I think to get the early bird discount, I was thinking that's going to expire in August 18th or something. So, we won't have much time to think about it at our next meeting. So I'd like to attend it and I'd like to attend the whole thing, on that.
I am on the host committee. Du Bois County is one of the host counties. We've been meeting, trying to get gifts and all that stuff together. And then when it comes time to it, I'm gonna need help when it comes time to if they need people to sit at a registration table, or if they need people to host something or help set up something. So I am gonna come back to y'all and say, I'm gonna need help. I can't do it all myself. So I don't have a lot of details on that yet. We're still meeting. So, and I do want to put a shout out to Whitney. She's been helping me with like getting gift bags together, stuff like that. You know, things to put in from Du Bois County.
The difference, I think, between the early bird meeting, early bird rate and one day is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because one day's meetings, it's good to, you know, the council has a session. It's a pretty good thing to go, at least if you can make it up there. But I'd like to go to the whole thing, or, you know, the whole conference, I guess.
So you want me to register you? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if you would.
And this one's the 25th to the 28th of
It's like
August,
week
or
before, that's what's hard.
September.
But, well, I mean, even if you build that one day when they have the,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that would be.
I know I'm going to do, I will just take this up.
You should have got something like this.
28th
Yeah.
of
In there.
September.
If you did get this, save this because this goes in a drawing.
Sunday.
They want me to tell you that.
Through
Thursday down is when they start. Is that a Tuesday? Is it Tuesday?
Monday's the 25th.
And then it goes Monday, Tuesday.
I know I'll
Wednesday.
participate, so.
Thursday.
It's not bad, I just gotta figure it out.
24th through the 28th, it's 4 days.
Sunday through Thursday.
So does this travel around to different parts?
Yes,
of
it
the
does.
state?
This year it's in French Lick. I think next year's going back to Belterra. And I'm not sure where
I didn't see it.
but this year it's in French Lick.
One's Rising Sun, right?
Yes. Or down by VV. I think they said there next year and then it goes back up north. Last year it was up north.
Yeah. Why is it because it's.
That's over by Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, Rising Sun,
Yeah.
Madison.
Madison area.
Okay.
Like, can we see that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, this was in the. Yeah.
And then, the last thing I had is, council president always has to buy lunch, you know, for this 16th, you know.
You don't have to.
No, I'm just.
Hey,
I'm
we
willing.
pass the hat, then we got a
You wanna
hat.
know how we want our steak, or?
No, I'm willing to do that. But, you know, I thought, you know, last time we went up to Millhouse and we got back, which I don't think we better do that. So I was thinking if we just go over the Putney Road, and if we would wanna reserve
Pre-order
a
or
table,
something.
and then maybe pre-order, right?
They have a buffet too.
Yeah.
They got pizza, but yeah, you could just get in that, you know, if you want.
That's
So,
I think that's great.
yeah, whatever, yeah. But, anyway, I thought, just so we're all in agreement, because if you run all over the city here.
How long do we get for lunch?
I have 15 minutes, I think.
Will we get anything before to review?
We are working on the budget book. My apologies. I was on vacation last week, so I was out. Brooke's daughter had surgeries. She was out, so we are still working this week to try to get it finished by the end of this week. We just have questions.
Is it just a large Excel file?
Yes, and we can send it to you on the Excel if you want to do it that way.
What else would you do?
I don't know.
Like this.
We've tried to put information in it, like what wage scale they're in, what, that kind of stuff, but.
Well, you'll have that, you think you'll have that? I'm just asking because I would like to have it before, like on the weekends, so I can take it on my.
Well, we're hoping by this, we're really aiming for Friday.
So I'll touch base with you.
You always have.
This
We always have.
These are not.
It's just this year we got so many different things going on with the health department changing, with community corrections changing. It's just a lot of different.
Yeah, look, anyway.
Well,
I think.
And when we have it ready, we'll let you know and you guys can come pick it up, or if you want me to bring it to you somewhere, I can do that too.
Not Canada.
I have my passport.
I got my passport.
Anybody else?
But if anybody else wants to go to the AIC, you have to let me know.
I have to look at the agenda.
You saying yes?
Sure.
Full registration?
I'm done.
I know.
I do, I had I guess the fourth or fifth solar project farm knock on my door yesterday. I was looking for big blocks east of I-69 from here all the way to Hades County. This one not because of a councilman, because they want the land. So I'm gonna meet with them tomorrow. You could, I guess, have a fourth or fifth one, want the tax abatement or.
Is that R3?
This one's ESV. He's based out of California, that's all he does.
You gonna have any fun like that?
I think I will, but I don't know. R3 is working around the coal mine. They're like owned by Peabody, kind of Peabody Coals, where they're working in. But they're doing a lot of work. They're trying to get something, utilize some of that coal mine ground over out in the west.
Which some of them don't, so that's good.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't heard, the abatement committee has not heard a word
Mm-mm.
from any of them. So I don't know.
Well, the R3, the Peabody, that's early stage stuff there.
And this is too.
So I don't know. I'm surprised that EDP, I'm surprised they haven't been.
Yeah.
They haven't been. Otherwise, Sandy? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we had a 911, 3 employees quit, and one of the trainees is not really working out. So we have some hiring. We actually had interviews last week. Out of 45 applicants, 1 actually made it to the interview stage. There were going to be 3, but 2 backed out. But the one candidate that we did interview, really promising, really energetic, and
I mean, 3 out of how many, that's a lot.
well, that also includes like Indeed, where people just
Apply just to
apply.
They're fulfilling
So,
it.
Well, I'm saying,
we
we
went
had
through a
3
lot
more
of
people quit on their exit interviews. What are they saying? What is going on?
it's not necessarily the pay, it's what it is. It's more the timing. So they work 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. So that's a hard shift. They work weekends, they work holidays and stuff. So that's hard on anybody that has a family and stuff. So I think that's
They know that
kind of
going
where
into
they
it,
go
though.
they
But
go
Stuart
going
has
into
made
it.
that comment that they want that 12 to 12.
Yeah, they do. And I thought it might be an opportunity to possibly change that to, a 6 to 6 or something like that, or change it up to where it's not a 12-hour, it's an 8-hour to where. But it seems like that we're just having issues and trouble. It's a tough job to have. Like, we have that one employee it's not really working out, the training's just not catching it, and you gotta get employees or people that can catch on to that and can deal with that kind of pressure and that stress and multitasking, all those different systems and stuff. So it's a couple of employees we did have, we got from previous 911 centers, and they're just kind of moving on to other places. One's going to, another position here in the county and stuff like that. So it's just, it's a tough thing to keep up. It's time in the past where they would stay in a job for 20, 30 years. It seems like they're one of their things.
During the commissioner's first meeting there, July 3rd, they approved another communications officer, right? Another position.
For the 24 budget.
Yep. So, I mean, this is in addition to.
Once
we have-
vacated.
We have to fund that.
Well, they asked him if he could do something immediate. He said, no, we didn't have the trainers to train them.
But I mean, he's got hopefully some help.
We also have 2 employees that are going on FMLA for some time. So the trainers, it's just trainers and trainees. It's just a hard thing to kind of get to where we can get them trained. It's a 6-month process to get them trained up, and this one they extended it for him, and it just didn't seem to. He had the will and the enthusiasm to do it. It's just being able to catch on and keep up with it. It's just tough. So.
Well, thanks for reporting that. Sandy, do you have anything additional?
No, I have the agenda set up for the August 16th meeting. So
That was a lot.
I'll send it out. I want to firm up a few things on it yet and then I'll send it out.
Sounds
But it
good.
is it'll be a long day.
Yep. It is. Okay, so otherwise, if there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Make a motion.
Second.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Close the meeting.
That's mom's gonna be.
So other than the budget, I mean, other than the budget paperwork, any other